All sports, all the time.
There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered. Legends never die.
This is the Spoken Podcast.
Hold your ears, folks. It's showtime.
I'm your host, Lance Twidwell.
Man, that kid, he can ball, man. He can ball.
Touchdown, Kansas City!
Patrick freaking Mahomes, baby!
Let's talk some sports, because that's what we're here to do.
You are tuned in to The Spoken.
This is the Spoken Podcast. I'm your host, Lance Twidwell, here inside the Starcade Media Studios with my guys, Trevor Twidwell.
What's good?
And the newly found, refreshed from vacation, Mr. Eddie Ortiz, Mr. Yo, Yo, Yo.
Yo, yo, yo.
Episode 187 in full swing, full motion. We are so happy to be here with you guys and for you to be here with us, whether you are live streaming, podcasting, or YouTubing. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us. And this time, as we're going to break down a lot of football, we have a jam-packed show today, guys. A lot to get to in the world of sports, in particular in the NFL. We are now really in the swing of things. We're now outside of the first month of the regular season. We're really starting to see these teams take shape, take form, and now figuring out who's real, who's not. And we still have so much to get to, man. We have so much more season to get to. This is my favorite time of the year because, as you can see, I'm rocking a sweater, rocking a hoodie here. We got our guy Big Charlie's out there in Philadelphia. Shout out to our family out there in South Philly. Trevor's obviously rocking some flannel. Eddie's got his hoodie on, but I think Eddie wears hoodies all throughout the year, so I don't even think it matters. You could literally take a picture of Eddie in a hoodie and be like, is it July or is it December? I can't tell, but
I'm going for my best brawny man today. That's what I'm going for.
Cold as fuck.
Well, we're happy to be here with you guys, like I said, because like I said, we have so much to get to. We finally have the Eddie hour to get back to, man. I'm sure he's got some thought-provoking questions. We're going to go down a slate, as we've been doing all season long, of Week 5 NFL picks, some notable ones that we want to get to and to see what you guys are thinking, what you guys are predicting, what we think is going to happen this week. And we obviously post those on our social medias before every Sunday slate goes down. We're going to obviously get to the Chiefs and Raiders because, this is Raider week. This matters to a lot of fans out there. Not necessarily a rivalry in my eyes anymore, but it's still a fan rivalry out there. We got a lot to talk about at that one. And you guys know before the show ends each and every week, we always give out a series of L's in the world of sports. I'm sure there's some juicy ones out there that we're going to hand out. Eddie always likes to bring out ones from the other side of the pond. I'm sure he has something like that. He was in Spain this week, so maybe he saw some things in the world of sports out there a little closer that he wants to throw out an L to. I don't know. There's mystery to this, and I can't wait to get to it. But I want to start here first and foremost because I said in episode 186 last week with Trev that if the game is officiated evenly in Tampa Bay, the Chiefs are going to win that game by double digits. And despite a horrifically bad, a bad flag on Juan Thornhill's hit on Mike Evans in the back of the end zone, that game was pretty fairly officiated. I will give that crew a lot of credit. I love to slam them when I get an opportunity to, but this game was fairly officiated in my eyes with the Chiefs having 4 total penalties and the Buccaneers having 5 total. It was a very evenly game. They didn't get in the way. They didn't officiate the game out of rhythm for either offense. The Bucs offense did that to themselves for the most part, but they stayed out of the way and they just kept the game at bay, and it was really good to see that, letting the players decide it. And the Chiefs again won by double digits as I had predicted. And although the score showed that the Chiefs won 41-31, it looks like it may have been a shootout. Under no circumstances was this game ever close because the Chiefs dominated from literally the kickoff. And as I said on the Chief Concern postgame show with Jason Dunn and Marcus Dash, it was fitting to me that after a terrible performance last week in Indy that cost the Chiefs their first and only loss in the season, the special teams came out and made an immediate impact by forcing a turnover on the opening kickoff, giving their offense a very short field that resulted in a touchdown 2 plays later that went to Travis Kelce, who ironically dropped a game-sealing touchdown in Indy last week as well. The Chiefs got a lot right in this one against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they made a statement in more ways than one. And I actually want to start right there. I want to break this down as to what statements the Chiefs made because I think it all starts obviously with the Chiefs' offensive line. Yep. They 100% heard Shaq Barrett's comments and put that in their gas tank. 100%. And the reason why I know that is not just because of how well they played in this game, but how different they played from the previous 3 weeks going into that one. I know they played well against the Arizona Cardinals. They did. They played well. But let's be honest. The Cardinals had 0 pass rush. Whereas the Buccaneers not only had the best defense in the league, only giving up 9 points per game going into this Week 4 matchup with the Chiefs, but have the best front seven in football. And I don't even know if it's close. There's good front sevens out there. This is the best front seven. They have the best stable of linebackers in the league.
They've been the Niners for sure.
Yeah, thank you. I'll give credit to the Niners. You know I'm a big guy on the Niners.
Nick
But
Bosa,
the Bucs were coming into this game just looking like the 2000 Ravens. They were just dominating opponents. And the offensive line bullied them. Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, even with a hobbled leg and a pec injury, was out there just bullying. Joe Tooney was impenetrable.
running all over him.
My guy Orlando Brown Jr. had a great game. I mean, Andrew Wiley was playing his ass off. Like, this entire offensive line. It
was personal.
You can't tell me they did not look at those comments, see those comments, hear those comments. And well, he played well compared to his previous games.
He was good in most of that
good.
game. He had some bad spots, but I mean, like you said, that's a great defensive line.
And by the way, just fitting, because I'm mentioning the offensive line here, just out the chute here. Patrick Mahomes versus the Bucs in his career with a healthy offensive line is now 2-0. He completes 70% of his passes, throw 356 yards per game with 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a 113 quarterback rating. And I don't even want to talk a lot of Patrick Mahomes in this game, even though he had a legendary play just added to the highlight reel of his career. I don't even really want to talk about Patrick Mahomes in this one. I want to talk about the running game as well. How about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, who was awesome again, scoring his 5th touchdown in just 4 games, which is as many touchdowns as he had in his 13 games in his rookie year in 2020, and only 1 fewer touchdown he had in 10 games last season. Averaging 81 yards from scrimmage this season, over a touchdown per game this season, and over 5 yards per rush this season. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, I know people still will bag on him. And I get that some of the criticism, his critiques are fair, because sometimes there's a hole right there in the middle of the field, and Patrick's pointing at it, and he'll run right into a cloud of dust. I get that. But the man has been productive this season. He's on pace, man, to have double-digit touchdowns, well over 1,000 yards from scrimmage again for the second time this season.
Could have had a much bigger night if he caught that ball.
Much bigger night. If
that would have been another touchdown. He would have walked
all
in.
green. It's all green.
And I think this is thanks to Isaiah Pacheco and what he brought to this team.
And I'm glad you brought up Isaiah Pacheco, because this man played like a man possessed. I heard Dan Orlovsky and a few other people comparing him to the prime Marion Barber, where he just ran like he was pissed off at someone.
you.
Like he was chasing somebody that stole his groceries.
Yeah.
That's the way Isaiah Pacheco played in this game. And even Louis Riddick said on Twitter, he was running the ball like it was his last chance to run a football in the NFL. Like he was trying to prove a point.
Trying to get to that last meal.
I love how he would come to a stop within like 2-yard gain, but then he'll just keep that fucking pile like walking with him for another 5-6 yards.
He's also averaging 5 yards per rush on the season with 140 rush yards and only 28 rushes.
Yeah.
That's a great game. This dude's having that for a season. And so even in his limited abilities, limited opportunities, Isaiah Pacheco is making the absolute most of it. And what I said on the Chief Concern postgame show is that he looks like a guy that he played like Leonard Fournette should have been playing, a 5-6 year veteran. It was not too big. It was in the biggest, grandest stage of them all. Sunday Night Football in Tampa Bay against Tom Brady. And Isaiah Pacheco looked like a veteran out there, playing his ass off and looking like the moment is not too
Ball
big
security.
for him. Just absolutely poised. Got to give him a lot of credit for that one. The Chiefs rushed for 189 yards on 37 rushes, which is the most yards and rush attempts they've had since the 2020 Week 6 matchup against the Bills in Buffalo, when they dominated the Bills' defensive line. Is absolutely atrocious, and an absolutely dominating performance that managed to take some shine once again, like I said, against off Patrick Mahomes, what he had in the air. Because outside of that terrible decision that Patrick had at the end of the game that ended in a pick, Patrick was damn near flawless in this game and was getting whatever he wanted whenever he wanted to. And something else I wanted to point out too, although his stats weren't insane, he only had 2 catches for 31 yards. Sky Moore was finally utilized as a wide receiver in this game. That's what I've been wanting to see. I know that rookie wide receivers don't get acclimated into the Andy Reid offense quickly. It doesn't happen very often. Yeah. But he was getting open. He was making his presence known. And he also caught 2 third-down balls.
He's good.
That's another thing. Getting those clutch catches is what we want to see out of guys like that, getting clutch catches. You know what I mean? And that's what he was doing out there. Sky Moore played his position. I know that they believe he can be a good punt returner and all that stuff, and that might actually be true. But I want to see him as a second-round pick getting opportunities in the offense, and you saw that. Because Mecole Hardman, I know that there's criticisms out there. He's not put up big numbers at all this season. I think he's on pace for like 330 yards. But Mecole Hardman was wide open on a touchdown pass that Patrick Mahomes just missed him on. So we can't critique Mecole too far. But seeing Sky Moore splitting some reps with Mecole is everything I want to see, because that also is going to ignite Mecole Hardman to play harder as well if he wants to stay on the field in a prove-it year as well. And seeing Patrick, I want to bring up Patrick Mahomes. I said I'm not going to talk about him a lot, but it's actually more about the guy he was throwing to. Seeing Patrick Mahomes connecting with MVS downfield on multiple occasions in this game was not only beautiful to see because we've been waiting for it, but it opened up everything in the offense. You saw how much easier things in the 10 to 15 yard radius got for Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce and Juju Smith-Schuster once they connected with MVS. And that frozen rope ball to MVS about 44 yards in the air, you could just tell the Bucs were like, shit, now we can't send the blitzes. Now we have to respect the downfield game. And so you saw everything just really open up once MVS. I'm not saying it because, Trevor, I've said that I'm not a big believer in MVS. But if he can just have these little pockets of success in this offense, it's just going to make everything just that much easier for this offense to do whatever they want. And I think this was the perfect game for them to do this and make this statement because it's a defense that everyone has to fear and respect. This is arguably the scariest defense in football. And you go on their home and do this in prime time in front of 15 million people? It's just nothing short of incredible, man. And that's actually, because of the MVS thing, I do want to briefly address this, and I'm going to get your guys' thoughts and takeaways from this game as a whole, because I think that the defense deserves so much credit in this game. We could definitely talk about them in a second. But it's something that I'm going to continue to address just because it's still so short in time, and it's only the first season since it's taken place. But I have to address this myth that the offense is missing Tyreek Hill because of this game in particular. Because now, I post these every time after the Chiefs games, that Patrick Mahomes' numbers without Tyreek Hill in his career now, he's moved to 7-2. He completes 65% of his passes, which was 316 yards per game, 19 passing touchdowns, only 3 interceptions with a 105 quarterback rating. I actually, on Tuesday, had a friendly debate with our guy RG3 on ESPN this week on Twitter. And on Tuesday, RG3 had tweeted out, quote, "The Chiefs miss the explosiveness of Tyreek Hill, but are harder to defend right now. They make you cover every blade of grass. One touchdown drive against the Bucs saw 7 different skill players touch the ball. O-line has played them, has them dedicated to the run. This is very sustainable," end quote. So I read that tweet and I agreed with everything that RG3 had said in that, except the opening line. Because as I quote tweeted RG about this, I said, you make it sound like they really don't miss Tyreek Hill because you're explaining to us that the offense is a far more complete unit without Tyreek Hill. He broke it down himself. I didn't even have to say it. He broke it all down after he made that initial statement about them missing his explosiveness. And RG came back to me with this. He goes, quote, "They do miss Tyreek." He's saying they do miss Tyreek. "They miss the 5-yard slant that goes for 60 to the house," end quote. And this is where I want to begin on this. From what perspective do the Chiefs or have the Chiefs missed Tyreek Hill so far this season offensively? The Chiefs' offense is currently ranked 2nd in the league and have multiple 40-point games, both on the road, I might add, in the first month of the season. I think we get caught up in style points. That's what I think we're dealing with here. So far, the Chiefs haven't missed Tyreek, and the win column proves that alone. We also overlooked the fact that the Chiefs roster as a collective got better via the Tyreek trade. I know we've talked about that multiple times on this show. The defense has given up a ton of garbage time points so far, and are still even with that, are allowing 10 points per game, fewer than they were through 4 games last season. So I understand that it may not look as easy how the Chiefs are scoring points now as opposed to when they had Tyreek, but as you alluded to, as Robert Griffin alluded to, they're making defenses work harder this way, and it is much more sustainable. And of course, I sent that response to RG3. His rebuttal was, quote, "The Chiefs were more explosive with Tyreek, period. The data proves it. All your points prove my point that they are harder to defend now." So they're not as explosive, but they're tougher to defend. I want to look at a couple key stats here real quick. And I want to explain why these numbers support my stance as why the Chiefs offense hasn't missed Tyreek Hill at all. Points scored in games Patrick Mahomes has started in his career without Tyreek Hill. 27, 28, 33, 34, 13, 44, 27, 17, 41. That's an average of 29 points per game. And those last 4 are this season, and in those games, the Chiefs average 3 points more per game with 32 points per game. But this is the most important stat I want to bring up, as I did in this friendly debate with Robert Griffin III. Offensive plays of 20-plus yards through the first 4 games of the season. In 2021, the Chiefs had 14. In 2022, the Chiefs have 19. So what am I missing here? What is the Chiefs' offense missing? You can't say the scoring when they're scoring 30-plus points per game without Tyreek, and you can't say explosive plays when the Chiefs have more explosive plays through the first part of this season without Tyreek than they did with Tyreek last season. Does this Chiefs offense have a receiver that is as skilled and as deadly with the football as Tyreek? Of course not. But the premise of this friendly debate wasn't comparing one individual player to another. It was comparing the offense with and without one player. And the numbers clearly tell me, and anyone not named Robert Griffin III, that the offense is staying in stride with or without Cheetah in the mix. So you guys watch this game. Trevor, you watch it right next to me. I don't know about you guys, but it didn't feel like that game would have been any different if Tyreek Hill would have been on the field or not. Sure, maybe he scores a touchdown differently. Maybe he does get a little bubble screen and he takes it to the house. Mm-hmm. But the results are the results. And to me, I don't care about style points. I don't care about how you're scoring the touchdown. But again, if we're going to look at style points, the Chiefs are making more exclusive plays based on the numbers without him. Mm-hmm. So help me understand this. And if you want to briefly just attack that notion, if you agree with Robert, you agree with me, just tell me what you guys think and then give me your overall takeaways of this game.
Well, I mean, we're better in a sense we're just different. Like I think the style points point that you made is what it is. I think people are just equating the production of Tyreek to the dynamic the impact of Tyreek, which is, I agree with the impact dynamic of Tyreek, and that's not here no more. But that doesn't mean we can't be better without him, though. We have been better and more efficient without him. It is a style points thing, though. Like, we're not scoring the way we would when Tyreek. Like, in that Colts game, I would say we probably missed Tyreek. We could have really used a guy like Tyreek in that game, just to have a game-breaking play to kind of flip the momentum, because the momentum was not on our side the entire time. He was a great player to have that momentum-flipping kind of play offensively, where he could hit a screen pass or a quick slant and take it to the house because he's so damn near undefensible. So a scenario like that, sure, but in most of our games and the points we've been averaging and the way our offense has been producing, yeah, I mean, we're arguably better this season without Tyreek, and that's just praise to Coach Reed and his ability to change the scheme and work it to the other players' strengths and the new additions on this roster, and Patrick Mahomes, not having that deep shot guy or that guy to check it down to that can go grab 10 after the catch, 15, 20 after the catch, having to make Pat kind of adapt and learn to utilize the other players and the other angles and guys to look for and go through his reads and progressions. But yeah, I think RG3 and anybody makes that take at this point is wrong. Like, obviously we're going to miss Tyreek. We do miss Tyreek. We miss having that. But in reality, in the grand scheme of things, objectively viewing this offense right now, we don't, production-wise. We simply don't. The numbers are not going to support that take. On the screen, the eye-popping plays, yes, we don't have that really right now, unless MVS can really get it together with Pat, unless Sky Moore becomes something. But we've seen our fourth receiver on the roster, Watson, go out there and have a gigantic play that was a play Tyreek would typically have, and he went out there and made it. You know what I mean? So it's not like we haven't had big plays and big moments and big games already, like the games against the Chargers and stuff. We've had big plays. Kelsey's still doing what he does, scoring 2 touchdowns last week. Like, this is what this guy does. So, this offense is still chugging along. This offense is ravaging more points per game right now without Tyreek. But we do miss that factor, that excitement factor of Tyreek at any moment could do that. But in reality, we're not really missing him when it comes to the X's and O's of the game. We're really not.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I understand where the explosive part comes in, and it's those style points that you were talking about that you don't care about. And I think a lot of people say that we miss Tyreek Hill because we don't have those flashy points scored anymore.
That was kind of our brand.
Yeah, that was who we are. That's who we were with Tyreek Hill. And I think people are not saying that this offense per se misses Tyreek Hill. I think what they're trying to say is that this offense misses those flashy points. And to be honest, I really don't care how we score the points.
Right.
As long as we're scoring points or we're winning games. That's all that matters to me. Yes, I get it. Tyreek Hill could have gotten a 50-yard touchdown already by this time this season. And at the end of the day, I honestly don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care about flashy points. I don't care about none of that. Just give me points and give me a win. That's all I care about.
You know what I think it is though? A lot of these talking heads on TV. I actually like what RG3's been doing. He's been doing actually a really good job in what he's doing now. He's one of the few well thought out guys I think right now. But a lot of these people that fed that narrative in this offseason that Patrick's going to struggle with Tyreek. I think they're trying to stick to that and try to like find a way to keep that narrative alive, right. to have some kind of explanation to how they're still right. That's what this feels like, even though they know that they're wrong, and what we're seeing right now is proving that that's wrong because Patrick's numbers are already blooming as the season is progressing. He's had one down week really for the most part. But the offense is still moving along just fine without Tyreek, and they don't really know what to say now because their narrative is really dwindling as the season's progressing, and it's going to continue this week.
I do want to say something to the point you both made. First of all, Eddie, I'm glad you agree with me on that. I'm sure Trevor agrees with me too about the style points go out the window. But even to that point again, when it comes to explosive plays, which does play into the style point aspect, the Chiefs are still better this season so far than they were last season with Tyreek.
Yeah, we're scoring in different ways.
And to your point, Trevor, about the Colts game, I know that's the game that people say, well, the Chiefs missed Tyreek. But here's the thing with me.
We could have used a guy like that.
I don't know if I agree with that. In fact, I'm going to say I don't because here's the fact. If you go and watch that game again, which I unfortunately had to do just to make sure I didn't miss anything, MVS early in that game when the Chiefs were already down 7-0, was missed. He was wide open downfield. Patrick just straight up missed. That's a 60-plus yard touchdown.
But does he miss Tyreek on that? Because Tyreek has that chemistry with him.
You know what I mean? That's fair.
And he's obviously a little faster.
That's fair, but I think that's something that obviously is just it's all about time. It's all about time being played together. So I don't know if it's missing Tyreek or just missing that gelling effect. And then you saw that the next week against the Bucks where they gelled, and then MVS and Patrick are connecting, and all of a sudden, oh shit, the explosive plays are all there all along. It's just about finding that rhythm. And so, because MVS and Tyreek are way different guys from body build to style. I know they both can be. Yeah, they both have. They're both obviously fast guys, but Tyreek can go and catch the 5-yard pass and take it to the house. MVS really isn't that guy.
And Tyreek wouldn't require gelling. That's what I'm saying. Like you saying MVS required them gelling and can know each other and their body language and their timing and everything. Tyreek wouldn't have needed that, so he probably wouldn't have gotten them ball.
That's fair. And I think we're not even having this discussion. And again, I don't want to make this a whole Tyreek segment, but I don't think we're having this discussion if Travis Kelce catches the touchdown of the Colts. I don't think we're having this discussion if Sky Moore doesn't muff that punt. We're not having that discussion because the Chiefs win that game.
Right.
The kicker, if they have a healthy Harrison Butker or even just a Matt Wright, then all of a sudden you're talking about having a 4-0 record right now. So that's the difference. It isn't that Tyreek Hill was missed because as you saw in full display against a defense that was giving up less than 10 points per game this season, they don't miss him. And they're going to be just fine. This is what I've been trying to tell people all along. Now, I do want to move to the defensive side of things because I do think I said on the Chief Concern podcast as well, I think they own 50% of the credit for this victory. Because although, again, I know that the Bucs scored 31 points and Tom Brady had really good stats, let's contextualize them for a second. The Chiefs had multiple 21-point leads in this game. Okay? So there was a point in that game Tom Brady threw the ball 29 straight times. They ran the ball 6 total times.
Yeah, they pretty much benched Leonard Fournette until the end.
They couldn't get anything going in the ground game. The Chiefs were dominant. That's without Mike Dannon. That's without Willie Gay. That's without Trent McDuffie. That's without 3 starters, and they dominated the line of scrimmage in both sides of the ball. That is nothing short of incredible. And Chris Jones was in the backfield all night long. L'Jarius Sneed is having an all-pro season just added to the equation with that sack fumble, the strip sack fumble.
2 on the year, man. He got Matt Ryan on that one, too.
Absolutely blew up Tom Brady at the backfield. I mean, this defense, man, I'm telling you guys, they are different. They are different. I know the numbers right now
and
show
we're without 2 starters the last 2 weeks.
I think they're 24th in scoring defense right now, which is not good. But here's the thing, guys. 43% of the points they've allowed this season were in garbage time.
Yep.
43%. I mean, I could go down the list again, but guys, again, the Chiefs had multiple 20-plus point leads in this game against the Buccaneers. So anything the Bucs did at the end of the game mattered none because this game was never close. That's why I'm not going to sit here and knock the defense for giving up 31 points because they were playing shell cover defense and prevent defense for half the game.
Yeah.
Spags went out there and immediately put it to Tom Brady when it mattered.
Even
though
Mike Evans was bossing on a lot of our guys.
Well, Mike Evans is going to be a Hall of Fame receiver, and he's at the peak of his powers.
We struggle against some big body receivers receivers though.
Absolutely.
Him
But who
and
doesn't?
Mike Williams, guys like that.
Yeah. Unless you have
They're-
a Jalen Ramsey type of cornerback, you're going to struggle against big receivers. That's
Yeah.
just how it's going to
They
go.
typically get theirs.
And especially when you don't have your first round, as we alluded to, your first round pick and Trent McDuffie, who was glue in that
Yeah.
week 1 matchup.
Yeah, we got him and Willie Gay,
Suppose
man.
they're going to have him back for the Bills game, which is going to be a lovely acquisition. And Mike Daniel will be back hopefully this week against the Raiders. But yeah, this defense is only going to get better. And I think this is the best defense they've had since 2016.
Yeah.
Straight up with that defense, I think they finished 3rd in the league in 2016. This is that type of defense. I'm not saying they're going to finish in the top 5 statistically, but postseason time, I think this defense is going to be dangerous as hell. And you've seen every time Patrick Mahomes has had a top 10 defense, he's done what? Gone to the Super Bowl. That's what's going to happen.
And I said it before the season started. This defense. This is Spagnuolo's defense. This is his guys.
Yeah, kudos to
This
Spags.
is,
He's
yeah,
coached
this
his
is
ass off this year.
handpicked guys. 4 years with the Chiefs, 4 years drafted with the Chiefs, and then obviously signed those free agents and whatnot. So this is his defense. This is what he built, and we're starting to see like how he likes his defenses, and we're starting to see like this defense starting to blossom into what Spagnuolo wants. And we're starting to see Chris Jones putting the pressure in the quarterbacks, which is what we've known Chris Jones to do. Last year we missed a lot of that with Chris Jones, and this year he's putting in work. Frank Clark, he might not be the greatest, linebacker or edge or whatever you want to call it. This season he's been balling.
Arguably his best season.
Compared
outside of
to
his
what
first
we've
season.
seen the past few years.
Yeah.
This year he's balling.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw the mic'd up thing where he calls like this is a pass play where the fumble happened.
Yeah.
With Tom Brady.
Talking about their formations
Yeah, the
and-
formations.
yeah,
like,
the-
hey, if they stand up or whatever, it's a pass. Or he called that play. He pretty much told.
He did.
know,
He goes,
yeah.
it's a pass play. 28's out. 28's
28's
out.
out.
Yeah.
on the franchise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a great episode.
And that was a good. And that's what you need. He's becoming that vocal leader that this defense needs.
Yeah.
I thought Dunlap was going to come in and do that, but it seems like Frank Clark has stepped up his leadership skills and has taken over that role. Obviously, Chris Jones has struggled with that leadership kind of role. But with Frank Clark being that vocal leader that this defense needs, we're starting to see like pay off,
And I want to throw something out there real quick before I get Trevor's thoughts, because I need to give one guy serious respect, and I want to give Brett Veach a lot of respect, because I'm not going to rank the 2022 draft picks yet because they still have a season to prove themselves. They've only played a handful of games, but from 2021 down in the Brett Veach era, guys, I don't think Brett Veach. I think the best pick he's ever made is Nick Bolton. And that's including Creed Humphrey. As great as Creed Humphrey is, guys, I think Nick Bolton has the potential to be the best linebacker in football at one point. I'm not trying to be crazy here.
And he's a local kid, which I love even more.
It's insane how great he is.
Yeah.
And immediately, from day one, this guy on the spot grew up in front of our eyes, leading all rookies in tackles last season. And this season has been a top 5 linebacker in the league. What he did against the Colts, what he did against the Bucks last week, I mean, it goes so underappreciated because he's kind of a low-profile guy.
And that's without
He doesn't
Willie
have like
Gay.
that big personality, that bravado. But this man is deadly.
He's all work, man.
It's amazing what I'm seeing from this kid. And he's an undersized linebacker. He's only like 6 foot. Most linebackers are like 6'2", 6'3", and above. This dude is insanely efficient. And I really do believe, outside of Creed Humphrey, guys, he's the best draft pick that Brett Veach has ever had to this point. Now, obviously, Trent McDuffie's got time. Karlaftis has got time. Some of these other guys, L'Jarius Sneed, he deserves all the respect in the world.
I think L'Jarius Sneed's been arguably the second most important player on the defense this
Those
year.
are, without question, in my
He's been
eyes,
so
those
good.
are the 3 best picks he's made to this point. And Nick Bolton put it on full display again, and Lord Jerry Sneed did it again, too.
These picks, corner blitzes are so good.
And it's so great, too, is that none of these guys, Creed Humphrey, Nick Bolton, or L'Jarius Sneed, were first-round picks. Creed and Nick Bolton were seconds, and L'Jarius was 4th.
Yeah.
Like, to get that kind of value out of guys like that is just nothing short of amazing. I just wanted to throw that out there.
No, yeah, I mean, I honestly, I think this, in my mind, from my personal opinion, I think this defense is overachieved. I was ready for a slow growing process. Remember, I said that before the season started. Like, expect growing pains, guys. This defense is going to let you down at times. There haven't been real letdown spots in this defense. Honestly, our offense has let us down more through this progression, and Patrick having to learning a new way without Tyreek and spreading the ball around, which he's done well. But putting points on the board in certain games has been a struggle at certain points. That's all a growing process too with this new scheme and a lot of things that we're doing. But this defense has been very consistent, even with missing certain pieces. We haven't had a lot of sacks, but we're consistently getting pressures, and we're doing it without having to blitz too much.
I think they're right now top 10 in sacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
but
like
I'm saying,
top 10
but,
sacks,
but
yeah.
I mean, but Spags isn't blitzing too much. But those safety and those corner blitzes are so effective and, disguising them.
He picks them really well.
Dude,
picks them
the
really
way
well.
Spags disguises Snead in those corner blitzes and he gets there like that. He is. I think he's the best corner blitzer in the league. The one he had on Matt Ryan, it never looked like he took his soul from Matt Ryan on that. and then he injured Brady on that one.
Yeah.
He's so quick at getting there, so good at finishing the tackle, not missing. Because we've seen some of those undersized corners try to get after these quarterbacks and they'll like whiff or they won't get him down entirely. He's on the money. He put Brady on his ass. That one he put on Matt Ryan was brutal.
Yeah.
So the way this defense is playing, and once we get all of our pieces completely back and they're ready to go. That's what I'm grateful for right now too in this Chiefs in this season so far is we're a little banged up. We have a couple guys out, because of poor decisions being made in their personal lives, things like that. But we're looking around the league and we're seeing all these teams banged up and losing guys for the season. Major injuries on the defense and offensive side of things. And a lot of these, especially in our division, a lot of guys going down. The Broncos and Chargers, it's a yearly thing for them.
Raiders.
Well, Raiders too, for sure. But I mean, we didn't expect too much of them. The Broncos and the Chargers had higher expectations in my mind, and they're losing major key players. On the offensive line, defensive side. But yeah, we're seeing those things happening, and we're getting ready to get all of our guys back. And none of them were like truly serious. So just some sprains here and there, some suspensions, but. Lord willing, man, we're staying healthy this season. That's the key because we see people dropping like flies right now, and that's a scary thing. And
it even sounds like Lucas Niang's gonna be making a comeback in the next few weeks as well.
Oh man, having that depth, a guy that could probably come in and start.
He's a better right tackle than Andrew Wiley.
Wiley's been
good.
playing well.
Lucas Niang has that top tier type of talent.
We'll see how he comes back though.
He's gotta stay healthy.
Yeah,
and I do want to say
crucial injury though.
Yeah.
I do want to say about the offensive line, which was the most impressive part of the night because they absolutely just took everything personal and they showed it and they backed it up against arguably the toughest challenge you can go into and into on a road game as well.
Yeah.
I think when Shaq Barrett said that, I think he was right so far this season though.
Yeah.
That's why I think it made them so mad because
they knew it.
When you get like some criticism, you're like, fuck, you're wrong. That's not true.
But it's right.
When you're like, damn, actually,
pisses me
and you start
off,
reviewing things that you've done, you're like, oh my, they're right. And that makes you even more upset. You're even more upset because it's right. Because our offensive line has been struggling this year.
It was still disrespectful.
Of course.
It was disrespectful because they're clearly better than that 2020
You don't say that publicly.
Yeah.
You don't say that
but
publicly.
They have been struggling.
This season so far, what we've seen out of Orlando Brown this season has been
that
atrocious.
Colts game was unacceptable.
Yeah.
Because they weren't even barely blitzing us. They were getting us. They were getting there with 4.
You're right.
Or I don't know what's happening with Orlando Brown, but the first few weeks of the season had been atrocious.
Yeah,
from
especially
Orlando
a guy that's been betting on himself and wants to be the highest paid. Man.
He was getting outrun so fast. Even at the Bucs game, he was struggling. I know you're praising the offensive line.
He had a better game. He did have a better game.
I don't think
he gave up a pressure.
He had a decent game.
I don't think he gave up a pressure.
Yeah, he did. He gave up a sack.
That was on him?
I
thought they said that was because Patrick Mahomes held the ball too long.
No, because he literally outrun Orlando Brown. Because you saw Orlando Brown kind of got up and kind of
he struggles against the speed rush.
Yeah, so he got up trying to like step up to block him, but he just outran him.
Okay.
And grabbed that's when he grabbed him from the ankles, I think.
Okay.
But yeah, I just think there was definitely a mirror meeting with a lot of these guys, talking to themselves in the mirror and reflecting and understanding, you know what? I don't like what Shaq Barrett said, and I'm taking that personal, but at the same time, he has validity to what he just said.
And something else you said that was a really good point that I hadn't thought about until this point, and I really just racked my brain while you were talking about it. It rings true about the defense. I don't think the Chiefs' defense has had a single bad drive this season.
Yeah.
I mean, they've given up points at times. Right. But if I really rack my brain, they only gave up, 17 points to the Chargers in 3.5 quarters until there's about a minute left in the game.
Yeah.
Against the Colts, they really only gave up 13 legitimate points in that game. And then against the Cardinals were down 30 points going into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, we just played safe.
We just saw what they did against the Bucs. They had multiple 21-point leads.
Yeah. And then it was a backups.
Right.
And we've yet to be at full strength for a significant period of time so far. But I mean, it is frustrating to watch, to know. I think everyone knew that the Bucs were not going to run the ball for an entire half. and we still allowed them to march down the field a couple of those drives. That was a little frustrating. I understand we had a pretty good lead, and we were letting them kind of play underneath, but there were some over the top plays. And then when it got to the red zone, I felt we should have tightened up a little bit more. And Mike Evans was just getting behind us and just snagging the ball. But there were some terrible penalties as well. I mean, that call on Juan Thornhill was absolutely atrocious. I mean, it's a football play, man. That's a bang football play, and we've had some bad calls go our way, or not go our way, I should say, on the defensive side especially. I mean, that Chris Jones one blew us the game. That one in the end zone made it a little closer than it should have been. I think that should have been 4th and goal if our 3rd and goal, I believe, at that time. But either way, I mean, the opposition scoring totals against us is a little skewed because there's garbage time because we've had significant leads.
And it makes me feel good knowing that the Chiefs score 41 points in a game they should have scored 2 or 3 more touchdowns.
Right.
Noah Gray drops that ball within like 11 yards
Travis
of the end zone,
Kelce
which you give him a
drops
first
the
down.
one in Colts.
And then you're talking about the Clyde Edwards-Helaire drop.
Yes,
MVS dropped one. Like these guys, the Chiefs could have had 60 points.
That ain't gonna last. We should have dropped 50 plus on the Bucs.
Exactly. And I was kind of hoping they would have, to be honest with you. But
I think we wanted to. We just didn't.
Just wanted to throw this out here before we get to the Eddie Hour. The Chiefs are now 1-0 after giving certain people Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers vibes. So I just wanted to put that
I wanted to revisit that so bad, man.
They're 1-0 now. And guys, I'm just going to let you know, boys and girls, I'm not nervous about it. So I just wanted to put that out there since, everyone wanted to overreact after that Colts game. And, just thought that'd be fair to put that one out there. But here, you know what? We broke this game down. We're now going to move forward because for the first time in 3 weeks, we have the Eddie Hour with my guy, Eddie Ortiz. I'm sure he's got some thought-provoking questions. We've had some fun, eventful games outside of this Chiefs game, in particular in the AFC West. I'm sure we'll have a question or two in that. But nevertheless, I don't want to rein in on that. Eddie, this is all you. What's in the Eddie Hour this week, my man?
Should Matt Ryan retire after this season?
He should, but here's the thing. He's owed $18 million after this. So it's gonna really hinge upon what the Colts want to do, because we know that Jim Irsay ain't about that bullshit.
So should the Colts bench him? Is the question.
Well, they got Nick Foles on the team.
Yeah.
About that, he might be able to give you a little more life because he's the same type of quarterback Matt Ryan is. He's about 4 years younger.
Yeah.
So who's to say? But
he's Super Bowl champ.
Matt Ryan is their guy until proven otherwise. Unfortunately for them, he was horrible against the Broncos. There's just no ifs, ands, or buts. I will give him some respect in this regard. His offensive line's been atrocious this season.
He could get hurt.
Yes, they've been awful.
Yeah.
And he's lost not one but 2 running backs to injuries this season. And Michael Pittman Jr. and Alec Pierce have missed games this season. Yeah. So there's been a lot of chaos around Matt Ryan, who's going into his first season as a new quarterback for a team for the first time in his 15-year career. So I'll give him some respect. But yes, there's no question about it. There were throws against the Broncos where I'm like, what did he see there? And then it was times we had a clean pocket.
It looked like he put everything into somebody throws, and the ball was like.
It was like
the pick
in like a 3-yard shot.
The ball was up there fluttering.
Was it the second interception he threw? He was in the pocket. He had a clean pocket.
And he threw right to the defender.
He doesn't look right.
He was looking everywhere.
Yeah. It's a mixture of both. It's a mixture of him being bad and the team around him not being good or not healthy. So I think that as the season goes on, they'll get a little better. But this team is nowhere near what I thought they would be. And they haven't had Shaq Leonard in 3 of their 4 games. Darius Leonard, or was it Darius Leonard? Darius Leonard missed the game as well. It's bad, man, and it sucks to the Colts because I thought they were going to be much better than what they are. I still can't believe they got that dub, but yeah, I think Matt Ryan is going to be their quarterback unless he is injured or unless the Colts are willing to eat that $18 million next year because he's owed every bit of that.
Yeah, watching them celebrate like they won a massive playoff game after that game was over in overtime was hilarious.
And they're 2-0 against the AFC West. I'm just saying,
like once Russ missed that last throw, Matt Ryan and coach are all like, yeah, they're all freaking on the sideline. I'm like, bro, you guys played like shit. That was a terrible football game, dude. That was such a bad game. I wish I could take back some of that time I wasted watching that, but the Colts are bad. The Colts are really bad. I still came out of that game not sure who was worse. I understand the Colts won, and we all picked them, so thank God they won. Made us look better than that, because that was a game that was like, Jesus, man. Like, can we just call this? I just wanted it to be another draw for the Colts, because this game was so bad. It almost was another draw. But yeah, God, I don't know who's. I still think the Broncos are the better team because I think their defense is that much better. But they're dropping like flies as well. They lost 2 new starters. Randy Gregory's out for how much longer? He's on the IR right now.
3 more weeks at least.
They lost their offensive tackle.
Derek Bowles.
They lost the cornerback.
Darby.
Darby's out for the year. Oh my God.
He wasn't even all that good to begin with. He's
he's been a solid player for most of his career. But that defense has been elite so far this season. They've really been as far as like points allowed.
Top 5, isn't it?
Yeah, their defense is great.
They have faced.
Right.
I mean, I get
Not
yeah,
a murderer's row of quarterbacks.
context,
And if we're being honest, the
Let's be
lackluster offensive line and running game of the Raiders absolutely demolished them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Over
one time they
200
play a
plus
solid
rushing
quarterback
yards.
with a solid offense, they give up over 30 points for the first time all season. And
Yeah.
if it wasn't for Jimmy Garoppolo stepping out of the back of the end zone and Davis Mills being Davis Mills,
Yeah.
the Broncos are 0-4 right now.
True. Yeah, they're very well, and they're worthy of that too because they're. That was such a horrible game, man. But Matt Ryan does look they both look washed. Russell Wilson
Yes.
and Matt Ryan both looked washed in that game. Neither one of them none of them had zip on their throws. And we've seen Matt have. He's never been like a very extremely strong arm guy, but extremely accurate.
Accurate,
Gets
yeah.
the ball there on time. He looked timid in the pocket. He had clean pockets at times and was delivering interceptions. Like,
Yeah.
bro, that can't happen. And Russ looked horrible too, man. If Russ isn't able to have the wheels he used to have and be able to extend plays, that's what made him great. Extending plays and finding guys deep down the field. But the league has kind of caught up to a lot of those deep shots. Most defenses are playing too high and trying to get there with 4. I think the Chiefs kind of changed the game
Well, and
with
shit.
that because they've had to adjust.
Even his deep ball to Jerry Jeudy late in the game, Jerry Jeudy had to have a complete stop.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like that. Most of the time, Russell hitting people in
or
stride.
the one
He
that
wasn't doing
Cortland
that
setting
at
over the
all.
middle when the ref away, and we didn't know who it was actually to because there's two.
Oh, it wasn't Tim.
was two
It was
players.
not to Cortland Sutton.
It
That
was,
was
to,
not to
was it
Cortland
Tim
Sutton.
Patrick or who was that?
No, that was Campbell or Hamler.
Oh yeah, Hamler. Yeah,
It was
that
the
guy
Hamler,
had a
and
night.
They both caught it.
Yeah, Courtney. I was like, there should be 2 receptions on that
Yeah,
one.
so I don't. The play calling.
teammates fighting for the
Russell's.
ball.
Yeah, I think I read, and I said this before the season even started. I do not believe in the Broncos. I've had a lot of questions the last couple seasons about Russ.
Hey, just to your point, Trevor
didn't look good the last
Trevor
couple
did
years.
pick the Broncos to finish last.
Yeah.
And as bad as the Raiders are, and goddamn are they
They
bad.
look better than the
Here's
Broncos,
thing.
bro.
The Broncos, outside of the hosting the Jets in a couple weeks, and at Panthers later in the season, I don't know if they have another W on their schedule.
They're so bad.
This was the time when they were supposed to capitalize on their soft schedule. They had still to face Patrick Mahomes twice, Justin Herbert twice.
Yeah.
They had to face Derek Carr one more time. There's like I think Joe Burrow. I think there's like a couple other people they have to face this season. I mean, how they get the Buccaneers? I think they face Tom Brady again.
Yeah.
Like,
well, think about the morale of the team because I'm sold that Hackett is not going to make it through the season. I think he gets fired. He has to get fired. He is so bad, and I'm not trying to be like an asshole and like
He's terrible
kick
with
him when
clock management.
kick him when he's
the
down.
worst head coach in football.
Yeah, he had to hire his own personal assistant to help him with like situational football. It's like, dude, you can't.
But here's the
that
problem.
can't happen.
Here's the problem for the Broncos, though. Okay, and I spoke on this yesterday on Twitter about how they have to fire him. That's inevitable.
Yeah.
Like, and I would do it immediately.
and the
but
new
here's problem.
ownership didn't hire him.
They didn't hire him. Right. Here's
Yeah.
the problem, though. Everyone just assumes that they can just go get Sean Payton.
Right.
Why
Like he's
in
gonna want
the
to walk into
hell
that situation.
would Sean Payton sign up to not only going into Patrick Mahomes' division,
Yeah.
but you have an expensive and rapidly aging and declining Russell Wilson as your quarterback?
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be making, you guys, they can't even get out of Russell Wilson's contract to probably 2027.
Well, so,
And
okay,
he's
yeah.
34
I mean,
now.
Well, say
he
the
was the
Cowboys.
Drew
Say the
Brees,
Cowboys job opens up. Say
Drew
the-
Brees was significantly better than,
Of
than
course.
Russell
It's-
Wilson.
yeah, absolutely.
Significantly.
Still very much an accurate quarterback.
Drew Brees is one of the
And he
5
wouldn't
greatest
have missed. He
quarterbacks
wouldn't have
ever.
missed. He wouldn't have missed Hamler on that wide open touchdown
Oh
at
my
the end of the
God.
game. That would have put the game away. That
So
was
you can't just
embarrassing.
assume that you're going to go and get some massive
Right.
upgrade. You're going to
Hall
have to
of Fame
probably
coach.
settle for someone's OC, someone's DC.
Who's Gruden? Just get Gruden. I'm sure he'll be happy
Oh,
to come
I don't
back
even know
to
if
the
Gruden would take that.
AFC
I don't-
West.
That's what I'm saying. Like this is the like our guy Nick
Yeah.
Wright said on First Things First yesterday. This is the least ideal quarterback situation in the league.
Which is crazy because Denver's always like an attractive spot to go. Because
Not
the
anymore.
location's great.
Yeah.
The fan base is amazing. You know what I mean?
Not
Like,
after what I saw
but they're locked in.
Thursday.
They're locked
They
in.
can't
They're
get
locked in
out.
for the next 4 years
At
with Russ.
least.
At least.
At
He's going to be
least.
40 years
Well,
old.
they were walking away before the overtime.
Yeah.
And here's
It was
the
tied.
And here's
It was
people
tied.
in droves were leaving. But here's the funniest part about the Broncos and what they did to themselves here. Is that they had Russ when Russ got traded to the Broncos?
Yeah.
They had him under contractual control for 2 more years, 2022 and 2023. They didn't have to extend him. They could have said, "We're going to let
He
you play this
pressured them.
season out.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
you play well, we're going to give you that
Extend it.
extension you want." Yes,
Yeah.
because you proved it. You come into this and then you give him a 5-year extension that's going to pay him, like Trevor said, until he's 41 years old.
Yeah.
They deserve all this. This is how much of a poverty franchise they've become. A once proud franchise, I might add, that didn't have like a losing record for like 28 straight seasons.
Outside of one franchise quarterback, they've been dependent on retreads.
Man,
the
it's-
whole entire time.
Dude, literally, Peyton Manning going there for 4 years kept them from being the Browns over the last 15
Yeah, that one
years.
happened to work out
Where they
because
just had a
Peyton Manning's
rotating
amazing,
door.
but-
yeah, 4 years. He saved them for a 4-year span.
Yep.
Outside of that, before then and after that, they've been the Browns.
Yep.
They've been the Browns. They can't keep a quarterback.
Simeon,
They can't
Kyle
develop
Orton.
a quarterback.
Yeah.
It's terrible, man. I know we just delved built off
Yeah, I
of
know
it
it was
was
supposed to be about
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan, but I do think Matt Ryan should retire because he's washed. I cannot deny
don't
what
think
I'm
he's going to.
I cannot deny what I'm seeing. I know he probably won't, and I don't blame him because there's money.
$18 million
But he's going
next
to get paid a lot of that's guaranteed anyways. But
Yeah.
the Colts need to figure out something, man, because they might be worse off. And I love Matt Ryan. I've always loved him, but they might be worse off with Matt Ryan than they were with Carson Wentz because
It's
at
hard
least
to debate
Carson
that.
Wentz could actually make some. He
It's
can
hard to
actually make
debate
some
that.
throws that are like when he's under pressure. I mean, I know he's trash too, but he looks horrible in Washington as well. He's had a hot start, but he looks horrible the last couple weeks. Yeah, I think Matt Ryan should retire, but he probably won't.
Man.
Rough.
All right. So, is the KU football program taking that next step, or what we are seeing is a fluke?
Oh, they've already taken the next step. Lance Leipold 3 years ago took this team over, right? They were literally ranked as the worst program in college football, Division I football. Within 3 years, they're a ranked team in the top 20. That isn't a fluke. That's called building a culture and building a program. And that's exactly what Lance Leipold's done. Just want to throw it out here. It took a Lance to fix KU.
A Lance,
I wanna put
hello.
that- It's called a Lance, hello. And this is something that is nothing short of amazing because it's so difficult to do that in regions like Kansas too, by the way, because you saw what Bill Snyder did with K-State and how difficult that was for him to do all those years, but he did it. And it's something to be proud of, and it put them on the map. And it's no different than guys like Coach K with Duke. Before Coach K, nobody cared about Duke. Nobody paid attention to Duke. Now, that's one of the most prestigious jobs because of a guy like Coach K.
Yep.
Lance Leipold isn't going to be here forever. I think he's 58 or 59 years old now. But if he does stay here for the next 6-7 years, all of a sudden, Kansas becomes a place that coaches are going to start looking at. Hey, I might take that over.
Well, and talent wants to come play here.
Because what he's also that's the
That's
number
the
one
main
thing with the NIL, with all the portals and all that stuff going on that
Yep.
Lance Leipold's banging the table for. But it's also this. With success like this, it's going to force KU athletics to start putting money more into football because it's been a basketball school forever.
Well,
since
very rarely-
Gale Sayers' days.
Well,
they've
very
been-
rarely do you see basketball schools and have a good football a top football program as well.
But
That's rare.
And it's ironic because it's another blue blood school
Yeah.
that is showing the way. The map is Kentucky.
Yeah.
So Kentucky started having a more reputable football program over the last 4 years, 4 or 5 years. Once they signed, I think it's Stoops. Forget his first name. It's Stoops is their coach,
Yeah.
not Bob Stoops, the other Stoops.
Yeah.
And since then, Kentucky's hands been forced to start funneling some more money over into the football side because, as we all know, the big generator of money, revenue generator, is football. So KU, as much as they love their basketball program, they just won a national championship, and Bill Self is still the man. He will forever be the man as long as he's there at Kansas. They are now going to have to start taking their football program a lot more seriously and putting money into that, which means better equipment, better facilities, a better field. All these other things are going to... College Game Day, as we're doing this show right now, College Game Day, Pat McAfee, all the guys
Yep.
are there at
Yep.
Kansas, 30 minutes from where we're at right now. Out there. Our guy Brayton Turner's out there getting interviewed, all this stuff. That doesn't happen unless Lance Leipold's there. So unless he decides to go to Wisconsin and goes to Nebraska, which he has ties to, and it would make sense, if he stays and stakes his flag here at Kansas, there ain't nothing fluky about it.
Yep.
It's because of him. He is that Coach K to Kansas. He is that culture changer, that revolutionary piece, that asset that changes everything here. And I'm here for it, man. Again, it's not going to be for a long, long period of time because he's already nearing 60. He may coach for another 5 to 10 years. He may not. All I do know is that he's putting a much more reputation. He's changing everything that once was here over the last 13 years since Mangino got fired. He is putting something on this map, and he handles it with much more grace than Mangino did because Mangino was an awesome coach, but he was also an asshole. And that's why people kind of were like, the moment they started to struggle, KU was like, we're getting rid of this dude. He
Wasn't
was
a
also
player's
attached.
coach.
He was attached to the whole Lou Perkins thing with the bundles. He was
Yeah.
a part of all that stuff. Lance Leipold does things the right way if there was a right way to do it. And no, there's nothing fluky about it because you're seeing the upward trajectory each and every year. They got better and better and better. And now you see them at the pinnacle and they're getting that respect.
Yeah, it's 100% real and authentic what's happening in Lawrence, Kansas right now. And I'm grateful. As a lifelong KU fan, I've never been able to really support the football program because there's never been anything to look forward to. Maybe 1 or 2 wins a year here and there. I think we had 1 6-win season damn near a decade ago. So this is something new, something special, something to look forward to, something to support and ride with. Lance Leipold has obviously been the key cog here to the success and the trajectory that he's changed here in this culture. But Jalen Daniels is special. I think he is the main reason why a lot of this is happening as far as what's on the field. The kid he's special, and I don't say that a lot about a lot of players. I do see him becoming an NFL quarterback. I think he's got that. He's that new style of quarterback that he can run. He's very accurate. He can throw on the run very accurately. He's a very good decision maker. And there's not like a lot of massive studs offensively. We've had a couple guys that are on this team that are good, but I mean, I think Griffin is a solid receiver. But there's just something happening. It's magical what's happening. It's similar to Appalachian State. Like Appalachian State and Kansas right now are the two best stories in college football. They just are. What's going on in both these programs. So I hope this is something that sticks around and something he changes the culture here and the football side of things, because we have nothing but a winning culture here when it comes to basketball. Everyone knows that. We're arguably the best basketball program in NCAA history. I think we are. But as far as football goes, man, this is definitely not a fluke. This is real. We got a big game today. Hopefully we can take advantage of that and seize the day and seize the moment on this one. But college game day is here in KU. That's something I never thought I would be saying. We got Pat McAfee in town. It's just a cool.
Towns was yesterday because he had a show here yesterday.
Yeah, he was wearing that toilet plunger through his head. It's hilarious. But yeah, it's exciting, man. It's an exciting time as a Kansas fan. I know we got a lot of fair weather fans, but for good reason. I mean, we've been horrible for so long. Nothing to look forward to. You can go to a game for like $5. You know what I mean? So yeah. The booth is gonna be rocking today, man. So I'm excited to see. I'm excited to watch this game today for sure. But it's definitely not a fluke.
Who are they playing?
Today,
TCU.
TCU's
Who's also
a good team.
undefeated as well, right? Yeah.
TCU's a really good team, man. I think they're actually the favorites today.
Well, we had the better coach and better quarterback. So.
There you go. I like that.
And their stadium is actually getting an update next year.
Yeah, that's all praise to Lance Leipold, man, because I'm telling you, he's been talking about it too.
I think he stays here too. I know we're talking about a lot of the offers and stuff, but I think he stays here.
I don't think that I thought that was the case with the whole head coach, and that's why they're getting the new thing. But our coworker Matt, he talked to me. He was like, this is not because of KU football program. This is because of the KU basketball program. He was like, when was the last time that that stadium got an upgrade? 2009.
After they won the national championship.
At the year after they won the national
that
championship.
makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm sure it incentivizes it. I'm saying what I'm saying is that I think it adds to the expediting the process when you have a coach out there that you can buy into.
We
he's
know,
gonna get you to prominence.
And we know where the money's being generated as far as programs go. The basketball program is
my point
by
though,
far.
They can't really touch Allen Fieldhouse.
Right,
I don't think they can.
My point
no.
though, originally, guys,
It's the best
is
atmosphere in basketball.
As great as the KU basketball program is, and as much as they pack that house out. If they get a prestigious football program, that is going to quadruple, if not more, revenue than what basketball could ever dream of doing.
It's got to happen.
Because of the attendance, merch, all that stuff. And there's just more football fans than basketball fans. It's just the truth. You look at any other market out there. So if KU starts to build a more reputable football program, the revenue is going to be generated through the football program, not necessarily basketball.
Because if you look at the big football program, Alabama, they don't have a great basketball program.
Exactly.
Clemson, not a great basketball program.
Right. Even Texas, as good as they've been at times in basketball, we all know what generates revenue there. Like you said about Alabama, the SEC schools, they might have
Nebraska,
decent basketball here and
Syracuse,
there, but their football programs, without question, the ones that bring in the billions, the millions, and all the.
And they don't really.
Well, Missouri be bad at both. That's my favorite.
Thanks, Trev.
Sorry, guys.
Everyone just exited right now.
Sorry, guys. Sorry to my Missouri people.
God, shots fired. God damn, dude. All right, man. So October baseball has officially begun yesterday with the wild card round obviously being played. Now, my question to you guys is, who is the favorite to lift the trophy?
I mean, it's tough for me to say because baseball is all about the pitching, and although this one's difficult for me because I thought, like we talked about yesterday about the Mets were the team that has Jacob deGrom and they have this insanely great pitching staff and a closer that everybody loves. This might be that one year though where chalk is what gets it done. I remember before the season, I believe I picked the Braves and the Rays to face each other. And both of them were in the playoffs, and both of them look really, really good so far. Or they both look they're ready to go because the Braves haven't played yet. They got the bye. But I think I'm going to stick with my chalk here because, again, I think the Mets were that team that for a while looked like that team that was going to be the ones that take it over, and then within days, the Braves take the division from them. Like, how did that just happen? The Mets had the division, like, locked up practically within, like, a 2-week span. I think it was 12 days. The Braves took the division from them. I think they got hot at the right time, the Braves did. And I think although the Yankees have this great story of Aaron Judge, which is rightfully so, they're that prestigious team that has all the bats. We all know, man, when the weather drops, so does bat production. And it comes down to pitching. So although it looks a lot more up in the air than I anticipated initially, I'm sticking with my prediction. I think it's going to be the Rays and the Braves repeat as champions against the Rays in the World Series. So I'm going to say Braves is the favorite and the Rays are the other contender that I'm going to still take.
Yeah, I mean, my pick was the Dodgers to the beginning of the year.
They look
and
amazing.
I still
All-time.
am sticking with my pick.
They won over 110.
Was it 112, I think, games? Yeah,
They had the best roster in baseball.
Unbelievable.
I know it's easy just to go with them, but that's who I picked at the beginning of the year, and we talked about it, and that's who I'm sticking with now. I don't know who they're going to beat.
No, they won 111. The Astros won 106. The Braves won 101, and the Yankees won 99.
Right. And I'm self-admittedly not a big baseball guy, so I don't sit and watch a lot of hours of baseball. I just don't have the time personally, and I've never been a big passion. I appreciate the sport and I respect it, but I'm not like a passionate baseball guy. I admire it in passing and things like that, and I admire a lot of the players in the game, but I just love a lot of the players on this Dodgers roster, and I think they're overwhelmingly good. And I think in a series, I just don't know who's going to beat them in a series. I mean, listen, baseball is a weird sport. Underdogs are. A lot of times the underdogs have been king in a lot of baseball games or series as far as playoffs and things like that and World Series go. So we've seen so many Cinderella stories in baseball. But I just think this Dodgers team is the team I picked in the beginning of the year, and they've done nothing but be great all year. They've had little lulls, but overall they've been so good, and this roster's too good. And I think they're the ones hoisting the trophy at the end of the year.
And again, I don't want to sleep on the Astros because
Of course.
they are the best team record-wise in the
cheating.
AL. But I just
They're cheating.
oh shit.
They're still a loaded roster.
They are
man.
still a very loaded roster. I think Cleveland's a good team. Toronto, I've never been big on the Toronto Blue Jays because I think they're such an up and down team, even though they did win 92 games. Seattle's a fun team. I really like what Rodriguez. I think is an
That's that
incredible.
Cinderella team
Yes,
this year.
I love what they're doing. They finally made the postseason for the first time in over a decade.
Yeah.
It's really cool to see. My bad. Yeah, 20 years. Damn. I think it's great to see. I know the Rays are the bottom of the barrel when it comes to the playoff seedings. But they're just that team. Like I said, they're that team that have the right pitching
Sweet baby
staff
Rays.
and all, and they just get it done. They only had 86 victories, but how many? I mean, I can answer this because I pay attention to baseball a little bit better than you guys do. There's been so many teams throughout the years that win fewer than 90 games that get to the World Series. It happens all the time, and
Was
so
it the Royals? 2014?
yeah, 2014 they had less than, I think, well, they may have won right at 90. I could be wrong. But the point is, they weren't the high seed. And all of a sudden, the next year, they win, I think, like 95 or 96 games.
Yep.
But yeah, exactly. Wild card teams throughout history.
That's baseball, though,
It's
man.
baseball.
It's
You
always
get
a
hot at the right
Cinderella
time with
story.
pitching,
Yep.
situational hitting, things of
Yeah.
that nature. I'm
Hot
not giving up on my
streaks.
pick, man. I still
Yeah.
think the Braves and Rays will face. But Trevor made a great point, man. The Dodgers are just unfucking believable.
Yeah.
111 victories.
It's overwhelming.
Just dominated. I think they clinched the division like late July.
It's overwhelming,
Like, it's just
yeah.
dumb what they did, man. It's just stupid how great they are.
I was looking at a stat that of the game like against the Padres.
Yeah.
It's like they've only they were like 20 something to 4 or something like that.
Against them?
Against the Padres in
Yeah.
the last few seasons. I'm like, holy
They're,
fuck.
The Dodgers are the team that are supposed to be here, and they're here, and they're doing exactly what they signed up for this year.
Yeah,
man.
the Padres made the playoffs at 89 and 73. The Dodgers won 25 more games than they
Sheesh.
did, and they finished second in their division. Imagine finishing 25 games over the next team in your division.
That's wild, man.
That's
That's how
just
dumb,
man. Like, oh no, sorry, 22 games, but still.
Yes, but as
over
far as
20
baseball goes, you don't see that a
over
lot.
Another playoff team in your division, you won
Yeah.
over 20 more games than they did. Like I said, they pretty much took the division like July, like late July. They were like, yeah, this division's over. Like maybe not officially, but we all knew. Like there ain't no way the Dodgers are giving this up. So Trevor could be right.
And the Mariners is that Cinderella story. Who could potentially be that wild card team
Hey,
that nobody's expecting?
that's what
'cause
makes baseball
their
great.
pitching is great. Everything is great, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
And it looks like the Astros are not missing Correa at all.
And I think they've been better this year without Correa.
If anything, they've
Yeah, it's kind of like the Tyreek Hill effect. You know what I'm saying? You lose a star and you think things are going to go downhill, and all of a sudden, oh, wait, they're still fucking good.
Addition by subtraction.
Yep. All right, so Aaron Judge broke the American League home run record, but people are downplaying it because of Barry Bonds holding the quote unquote real record according to them. But to me is them not knowing what American League and National League are. Because Barry Bonds holds a National League record with 73, which is also the all-time record for home runs.
Single season, yeah.
Yep. But then there's also an American League, which now Aaron Judge holds that record.
Yep.
So people, I don't know why people are downplaying his record and pretty much saying, well, Barry Bonds was better. What does that have to do with the other?
Well, I don't want to speak for everyone because I can't. I will speak from my perspective of what I've seen and how it's been perceived. So there's been more of a defensive approach with this from a lot of writers, even reporters like Jeff Passan, who had to come out and say it because here's the reason why. Aaron Judge didn't just break a record. He broke a record from Roger Maris, who's a legendary player, not just from the Yankee lore, but baseball lore. And unfortunately, Roger Maris has a son who won't shut the fuck up about a quote-unquote clean record. So what he's done is he's implemented this idea or this narrative that what Aaron Judge is doing or did is more impressive than what Barry Bonds did. So that's why people are addressing it, at least from my perspective. And I agree with Jeff Passan and all the other people that are coming to the defense of Barry Bonds because whether it's an AL or NL record or all-time record, whatever it might be, the facts still remain that Barry Bonds hit 11 more home runs in his record-setting season than Aaron Judge did. So don't tell us that Aaron Judge's record has more validity or more clout or more factual standing than Barry Bonds' because as I recall, and I can look up MLB Pro Reference just as quickly as anybody else, the record still holds and it still shows Barry Bonds. So congratulations to Aaron Judge. And this is the part that pisses me off. Is that became the conversation. Not what Aaron Judge did. It's about what Barry Bonds did and how he did it.
Yeah.
I'm the biggest Barry Bonds fan there is. He's the greatest player that's ever lived in my eyes.
Definitely the greatest hitter.
I don't want to talk about Barry Bonds when it comes to Aaron Judge. What I want to talk about is Aaron Judge. I want to talk about him setting a record he deserves all the praise for.
Right.
Because not only did he do it, he did it in a season where he bet on himself. You know how badass that is? To be able to say, no, I'm not going to take your $200+ million Yankees. I'm going to go out there and bet on myself. And I'm going to go rake and have an historic season. That should be the talking point. But unfortunately, dipshits like Roger Maris Jr. are out here criticizing Barry Bonds and making it a Barry Bonds and making it a Barry Bonds conversation, muddying the waters as opposed to just giving praise to Aaron Judge for what he's done.
Yeah.
That should be the talking point. That's why baseball is where it's going. You have Tom Verducci saying stupid shit like that as well, piggybacking off of what Roger Maris Jr. is saying. Tom Verducci, one of the most respected men in all of baseball analytics, is coming out here and making articles about, well, which one would you prefer, a guy who did it clean or didn't? Man, you gotta stop because to that point, now that we're muddying the waters, let me muddy it a little bit more. It's so goddamn disrespectful and dishonest that we're sitting here killing Barry Bonds for this when and people hate me when I say it, but if you go look at the Balco, if you go look at all the lists of people that tested positive, the majority of them, the majority of them were pitchers. So who was cheating who? When we all loved it, it was the greatest era in baseball history. It will forever be the greatest era of baseball history. And the guys throwing the ball to Barry Bonds, pitching the ball to Barry Bonds, were also on the juice. So who was he cheating?
That means they can throw the fastball faster, so when you connect with it, it's guaranteed to be a home run, Lance.
But you see how that conversation goes? Like, it doesn't make any sense. You're trying to kill one man for an era of juicers. Everybody was doing it. So you can't say kill one man for doing it. So muddying the waters like this on Barry Bonds is so disrespectful and so dishonest to the accomplishments that man put out there. It's so dishonest, and I feel bad for Aaron Judge because he has to take on this responsibility of having to divert from those conversations when he should be able to bask in the glory of what he just did. It's nothing short of amazing, and it just really sucks. And this is why baseball goes the direction they go, because they can't get out of their own goddamn way. They say stupid shit like this, and they do stupid shit like this, and you wonder why it's ranking borderline below hockey and MLS soccer now in ratings. It's that terrible, man.
Yeah, it's 100%. They're
fucking disrespect soccer like that.
You know I'm right, though, Eddie. MLS is gaining popularity. I'm actually giving them credit. MLS is gaining popularity. You got to understand, dude. MLS soccer's been around for what, 30 years?
92.
So,
94.
So almost 30 years. Major League Baseball's been around for almost 200 years. So they have all this advantage, and now they're competing with each other. That's how sad it is. A credit to MLS. I'm just saying that baseball should be head and shoulders above them in popularity because they have better athletes and far more coverage.
In this country, for sure. But yeah, they're definitely pissing in the cereal of Aaron Judge. I mean, this is it's an incredible accomplishment what he's done, man. The guy strikes out a lot, yes, but I mean, most great home run hitters strike out a lot because they're swinging for the fences, and this guy does it better than anybody in the league. He's a force. He's battled through a lot of injuries in his young career, and has gotten his way here to this point where he set that record. And it's incredible. I mean, I got nothing but respect for the guy. But yeah, I mean, even the Barry Bonds stuff is hilarious to me because, I mean, before the steroid stuff and after the steroid stuff, the dude was still blasting out homers. So it doesn't really matter. The guy did it his whole career. He's the greatest hitter ever. His whole career. He was great his whole career.
Yep.
Did it help? Sure. But like it wasn't like he was alone. There's other guys that could have taken it away from him. You know what I mean? So it's like this guy, his swing, everything the dude did in his career, even late in his career, is still hitting. Like, look at Pujols. Still doing what he does, hitting home runs, still setting records, still racking up those stats. Talent is talent. You know what I mean? These guys are talented. Barry Bonds is the greatest hitter of all time. Because he was purely talented. He was born to do what he did. Judge was born to do what he's doing and what he did this year. So we need to stop pissing people's cereal and just give respect where it's due and stop being such a purist. That's one of the most frustrating things to me about baseball is like these unwritten rules and this purist stuff. And it's kind of leaking into football a little bit too with like this being like the passing era now where like a lot of quarterbacks nowadays are like Mahomes is crushing a lot of passing touchdown records and passing yards records because the way the game is now, which is fine, but like it is what it is. Throw the ball more back then. I don't know what to tell you.
Can I trigger some purists here because I'm sure there's some that are watching this and listening to this right now. I hope people realize that Babe Ruth had a far more greater advantage than Barry Bonds ever did. What I mean by that is Babe Ruth never had to face the best in the world.
Oh, yeah.
He faced the best in the States.
Yeah.
He did not face black and Hispanic men, which were better at baseball in some regards.
Yeah, Dominican, yeah.
The game only got better when Hispanic and black guys started playing baseball and were allowed to play in the major leagues.
They brought true athleticism to the game.
Once that happened, the game just took off. It's no different than basketball, football. The product got better because it wasn't a bunch of pasty dudes out there.
He blazed the trail for a lot of people, but yeah.
It became a real game of everybody. So Babe Ruth and his records, although are great, didn't face the best in the world.
Legends never die. Lance.
Barry did, and Barry not only faced the best in the world, he was facing them on juice.
Right.
So we can sit here and crush him for doing whatever he did, but the fact remains that he had disadvantages that Babe Ruth didn't, and Babe Ruth had advantages that Barry Bonds didn't. And to your point, Trevor, about the passing aspect of the NFL, real quick, what's funny about that is that people will take that away from guys like Patrick Mahomes that are setting records and blowing records away. Mm-hmm. But what about 20, 30 years ago when running backs were setting records? Are we going to take that away from them because it was a running era? Like, how do we differentiate?
That's what I'm saying.
Why do we take away from quarterbacks for setting records and doing great things because it's more of a pass-friendly league? But back when it was all about running the ball, guys like Jim Brown and Barry Sanders, Emmitt Smith, Walter Payton, setting LaDainian Thomas and Priest Holmes, all setting these records and doing individual things, are we going to say, well, they played the running era, so, of course they did well. Derrick Henry's better than all of them. Can I do that? Because I thought that's how we did things. It's got to be it's got to be a two-way street here. We can't knock one era and then praise the other one for doing what they did when it was specifically built for them in that era.
Well, it's a moot point to me with the quarterback stuff. Just to end this real quick.
Yeah.
The quarterback position is to throw the ball. It's been that way since the beginning, from the beginning of this game when it was invented.
Breaking.
You throw the ball, so there's always a choice. You can always throw the ball. We just tend to throw the ball a little bit more now. So
a little better.
And we're a little bit better now, talent-wise. So, I mean, that's kind of why the stats are what they are. That's literally what it is.
And there's a reason the league evolved this direction.
Of course.
And with Aaron Judge, he was, 0.004 away from getting the Triple Crown.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he
man.
He bet at 311, and I think, what's his name? Arias bet at 316.
Incredible
It was like
year for him,
313.
man.
It was very close. One of the greatest seasons in MLB history, without
As
question.
much of a
Credit to Aaron
non-Yankee
Judge.
guy as I am, I would love to see him win it this year just to top it off. That'd be incredible.
He's a free agent 2024?
I think he's a free agent this year.
Is it this year?
Yeah, after this offseason, because that's why they were trying to get him an extension, because
Contract.
he bet on himself.
Contract, you're undefeated,
And
man.
I think Buster Olney or somebody broke it down. They said that, maybe even Tim Kirchin, I forget, one of the legends. They said that Aaron Judge to start the season off, he had a home run in like his first 55 at bats. So for him to still do that, what he's done this season, after I think he went homerless his first 55 at bats. I can go look up the game logs, but I'm pretty sure it was 50 plus at bats to start the season in April.
That's crazy.
Not a home run. So to still do what he did, I think he had multiple months of 14 plus home runs. It's just stupid what the guy did. Incredible season. I think he's going to end up with either the Giants or a team in Cali. He's a Cali kid, and one of those teams. Just end the season. If he goes to the Dodgers, just end the season. I think he's going to go. No, I really do think he'll go to the Giants or a big market California team.
Somewhere by the Bay.
Yeah, and he's gonna go out there and make a ton of cash. And the Giants are a good team. I think he'll end up there.
Or the Angels. That would be great.
What's the next question, Eddie? Don't talk about the Angels on the
Shohei
show.
Ohtani, was it last year, next year?
What?
That's his last year, right? With
Yeah.
the Angels?
It's
It
coming
could
up.
be, yeah. And he'll be 29.
I would just love to see him and Trout on the same team, man. Judge and Trout.
Oh, they're talking about Ohtani. I was like,
Ohtani, yeah.
well, they
Yeah.
kind of are.
No, but Judge and
Judge will
and
never go
Trout.
there because nobody cares about the
terrible,
Angels.
dude. Yeah, they
nobody
don't-
cares about the Angels.
True.
You can't go from the Yankees to the Angels. That just can't
If he
happen.
goes to the West Coast, it'll be with either the Giants or the Dodgers.
I think it'll be the
Yeah.
Giants.
But
Giants
then
will give him a $400
But then you
million.
can throw the Padres in there too, you know?
Yeah.
That's
and
true.
Judge is in the prime of his career too. He's just now turned 30. He'll have another 5-6 great seasons of baseball. He stays healthy, which is something he struggled with. But
And with
True.
Tatis Jr. being suspended a few, was it like 40 games next season too?
over 40 games because it was an 80-game suspension. I think like 25 games left.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, Padres can be like,
Be a
hey,
nice little duo over there.
My God.
Shit.
Oh, man.
that'd be
Living in
great
San Diego,
competition.
hitting home runs. That
Man.
sounds like the life to me, man.
But then you play the Dodgers. And
True.
all right, last question. I want to get your thoughts on the whole Draymond Green, Jordan Poole situation.
Yeah, so just keep this one brief because I'm definitely going to talk about this one later. It's nothing short of shameful. Nothing short of shameful. And I'm somebody that's big on, in the heat of a moment, in the middle of a game or in the middle of something like that. I get that being a guy and being a competitive guy, emotions do fly high. They do, and I'm not going to sit here and crush a man for getting riled up. This situation's different, though, because both Draymond Green and Jordan Poole were on the sidelines, and they were just jawing at each other. And for somebody that puts themselves out there as an instigator and a shit talker at an elite level, which, by the way, is the only thing that Draymond's really been elite at for the majority of his career, it's funny when the tables are turned, he can't handle it. When somebody is talking to him, he can't handle it. And he wants to get in their face and cause a commotion and cause a skirmish, if you will.
He's never been able to handle it.
He's never been able to handle it. And this shows so people think that Draymond's mentally strong. He's actually mentally weak because he's cost his team so many times because of his mental weakness.
the biggest moments.
He is a shit talker but can't ever back it up because he doesn't actually fight. He sucker punches teammates. That's how tough he is.
Yeah.
That's why when people talk about Michael Jordan showing his competitive nature by punching Steve Kerr, no, that showed me weakness. That showed me that you can't withstand having a teammate coming at you and challenging you. You should be able to talk those things through, work through those things. Even if you want to cuss each other out and make things happen like that, that's fine. But assaulting a teammate is never something I will support. Yeah. Assaulting anybody is nothing I'll ever support. And they come at you, like let's say that video showed Jordan Poole decking Draymond Green. I'm like, you know what? Fair game. Because Draymond Green was walking at him, put his chest on his chest, and got in his personal space. Jordan Poole wanted to deck Draymond. It's all fair game to me because a man's acting like a man. You want to be a man? Okay, we can do that. But when you come at me and then I shove you off of me and then you Superman sucker punch me, that's bitch shit right there, bro. Straight up bitch shit. And I can't support Draymond Green whatsoever in this. I saw guys like Reggie Miller and a bunch of other guys trying to deflect by saying, well, who got that video out? Man, that is the least most important part of all this. I'm sure the Warriors
They
don't
should be
like,
fired, though.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's theories out there that maybe the Warriors wanted to put that out there.
Maybe. Who knows?
And that's something we can talk about as well. But the fact is, we got to quit deflecting and defending guys like Draymond Green for doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be a leader. And you can't tell me for a second this ain't about Jordan Poole being in line for a massive extension and Draymond Green asking for it, and he's not going to be getting it at 32 years old as a limited player already. That's not happening. And Jordan Poole is more of an integral part now with the Warriors than even Draymond Green is in some aspects because he's a guy that can shoot. He's a guy that can help as a reserve player come in when Steph or Clay or one of those two guys isn't as hot as they normally are.
Yeah.
He can come in there and light it up. And we've seen multiple times over the last 2 years, Jordan will come in and save their team. They'll be down 13 points, and within 45 seconds, he just hit 3 threes, and they're right back in the game. So he's more of an integral part, and I think Draymond is realizing he's become a threat, and he needs to reestablish his alpha mentality, alpha male presence to a guy like Jordan Poole who's getting more glitz and glam, and get a little bit of the shine's coming off Draymond a little bit. That's why he's always had that edge, and I respect it because it's what's made him a player that's gotten in the league for as long as he has and a borderline Hall of Fame player. But those days are now gone, and he can't handle that, and he's now lashing out at people that, ironically, are doing what he's made a career of doing, which is shit talk. It's hilarious.
Yeah, this is a really bad look for Draymond. He's one of the very vocal, outspoken men of note as far as a brand ambassador for the NBA. He's at the ESPYs, they had him doing his live podcast. He's like, his podcast is blowing up. He's one of the very vocal like faces for the league as far as like off the court talk and things like that, and keeping it real and having conversations with other players, ex-players and current players. And it's great. He's great at that content. It's very, very, it's easy for him. He makes it seem seamless. But this might permanently tarnish his brand, because this was 100% a sucker punch. Just from my personal life and my personal experiences, I'm someone who's had some skirmishes and stuff just growing up in the playgrounds and the YMCA's and Boys and Girls Clubs playing. I played a shit ton of basketball growing up. It was my favorite sport to play. It was my best sport probably for me personally. I love playing basketball. I played hours and hours and hours, full court, half court, 21, you name it, doesn't matter. I loved playing basketball. I got into a lot of heated debates with my brothers and people that I didn't even know all the time. I was a hot-headed guy. But typically it was in reaction to something, or I was not performing as well as I wanted to. This is at a practice. This is a professional sport. This is a job. Me playing on the playgrounds and playing some pickups with guys and getting into an argument and sometimes blows being thrown or whatever, what have you. That's on the park. That's outside. That's recreational. This is a job. If anyone, he's a professional. He's a paid professional in this sport. If any paid professional in any job at one point or another at any time assaults another coworker, like the way that it looked like he knocked Poole out for a second.
Yeah.
It was a clean shot because, and I'll revert back to me playing in like my playground days and growing up playing basketball in the YMCA's and stuff. Anyone who, in no way did Poole look like he was ready to fight. He was trying to get Draymond to shut the hell up. I don't know what was being said. Some very personal things could definitely have been said. So, but personal responsibility and self-control has to come into the play here at some point. And Draymond lost all of that in that moment. The body language of Jordan Poole shoving him away, he was just like trying to get him to shut up and continue with the practice because everyone's just waiting on them because they're sitting there arguing and they're trying to continue practice. Yeah. He shoves him away. His fists were not clenched in any way. He was not ready to square up. Anyone knows when someone's ready to square up and fight, both guys are ready to go. Right. Obviously, they were jaw jabbing, but Draymond out of nowhere just Superman punches him out of nowhere after the shove. He's just trying to get him to shut up. That's a normal thing. I mean, how many times I've shoved people and trying to or throw a basketball at someone, never had a real intention of throwing blows and making it that serious. But making a point, know that I'm pissed off and that they're pissed off, so on and so forth. That's fine. But to Superman punch and possibly permanently harm someone in the face in their eye socket, he hit him right there. I mean, who knows? I don't know what Poole's face looks like, but he caught him good.
And that's a lot bigger than
and Draymond's a big, strong guy. You know what I mean? And that's
6'6", 240.
His hands were down. He was not ready for that. He had just shoved him and pushed him away from him. He's obviously not trying to fight. That was 100% a sucker punch, and I think that's going to 100% permanently damage Draymond's brand. I don't think he's ever going to be looked at. He's been a dirty guy on the court for years. He's kind of been a goon. That's what he does. He's a great player, nonetheless, of course. But this is rough, man. And I think the person that leaked the video should be fired. That's not everyone's business, but in the social media age, nothing stays in the dark for long. Right. So I mean, this is as a big basketball fan, this is not what I want to see. And I've seen a lot of these old heads like coming out and talking, if they would have seen what happened in our locker room, bro, that doesn't change anything. That doesn't matter.
Who did it.
Any employee that would harm someone, assault someone on the premises of the job, is immediately fired.
Yes.
I don't care if you're the GM. I don't care if you're the CEO. I don't care if you're just the garbage man. You're going to get fired.
Yep.
You're losing your job. If John Elway goes down there and punches one of the players, he's most likely going to lose his job. This is a job. This is not Rucker Park. This is not playing at the YMCA.
And John Elway already did a great enough job losing his job by not being able to draft or develop a quarterback.
Exactly. You know what I mean? So, but yeah,
tack that on.
I'm not trying to be overly dramatic here, but Draymond has there's every reason to let him to fire him and let him go somehow and get him out of that program. And that he's a very pivotal player for them and he plays a vital role for that team. I'm on the side to where he should face a massive disciplinary action and possibly lose his job at the Warriors.
Well, I don't think he's
inexcusable.
The massive extension he was looking for is way out the window.
Of course, that's what I'm saying. So that's what I'm saying. Like as far as his personal brand, not outside of just the podcast stuff, but his personal brand and what he's trying to develop and as a person and a player, it's tarnished forever.
Trevor,
after
you
that.
might want to go ahead and start saving up some money for that Draymond Green Sacramento Kings jersey that you're going to be buying.
Oh Jesus! Yeah, so Ron Artest all over again.
That's happening.
Yeah. But yeah, that was terrible. After you just got done shitting on the Kings too, he was just talking about the Kings on the barbershop podcast. So, yeah, man, that's a terrible look, and I hate seeing that. And I'm actually a pretty big Jordan Poole fan. I like that kid a lot. So I don't like seeing that at all. That was just pure bullying to me, and I don't like it, man.
Yep.
So, according to TMZ, is that Jordan Poole is set for a big contract extension with the Golden State Warriors, something he supposedly made known around the team's facilities, and it's the reason things boiled over with Draymond Green.
So, in other words, Draymond Green can't handle his shit. Because Jordan Poole is the guy that's in line to get the money that Draymond wanted. As I said, he's now jealous of Jordan Poole.
And to your point, Jordan Poole is 100% the better player.
Without question.
It's not even close.
More integral part. You know,
he's just the better player, bro.
Yeah, okay.
The dude can go out there and drop 40 and 50. We've seen this kid drop north of 45 at night.
Now, Draymond is still an elite defender. But
the impact on the defensive side, sure. But overall player, Jordan Poole is by far.
Yes.
He's one of the best rotational players in the NBA.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. I wanted to put out here, I'm assuming that's the end of the Eddie Hour. Thank you so much for those questions, man. We just got some updates while we're live streaming the show. This is the fun part of doing this and the unfortunate things at times. It looks like KU's quarterback, Jalen Daniels, did get hurt with a shoulder injury.
Yeah.
So I don't know the extent of it. We hope he's okay. But it does sound like he did get a shoulder injury. I'm looking for updates as we do this show. So if you guys have any out there that's watching and listening, go ahead and let us know as well. Drop them in the comments on our YouTube channel. Let us know what you guys think about that as well.
It's 10-3 at halftime.
10-3 halftime.
TCU.
Yeah, so we'll see what happens on that one. Hopefully Jalen's okay for the long term, not just for today's game, but for the long term as well, because he's had nothing short of an amazing season. And mentioning our YouTube channel before we get to our next segment, I do want to put it out there as we do each and every week. Hit us up on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, let us know what you guys think of the show. If you guys have questions or if you guys have statements you want to make, some takes you have during the show or throughout the week while the show's on YouTube, go ahead and put them on there. Subscribe to our channel and comment on our YouTube channel. We definitely appreciate it. It's been growing, but we want to get it a little bit further out there to monetize things and get some merch out there, even more merch that we have, which is two shirts out there for you guys to purchase if you guys would like to support the show and rock us out there. But I do want to get to another segment. Is the segment that we try to get to each and every week and we look forward to the most each and every week. It is previewing the upcoming Chiefs matchup, and this week it is Raider week. We know a lot of Chiefs fans out there very much care about this. I know some people still think this is a rivalry. I personally don't think it's even close to a rivalry more. I can break that down if you guys like me to. I might actually go ahead and do that, but we'll start it off right here. So the Chiefs going into this matchup, I think are right definitely high. I think they've found their identity both offensively and defensively. The Chiefs are one of those teams out there that know what they are, and they're also great at what they do. They're one of those few teams, because some teams know they suck and they know who they are, and they suck. You know, like the Lions. The highest scoring offense in football, the worst defense in football.
Yeah,
I mean, I heard people say if they just had a bad defense, they'd be 4-0.
Yeah.
Like they have, of all the 32 defenses in the league, they have like the 38th ranked defense. They're that bad.
Yeah.
But the Chiefs are a team that find themselves in a place where they are about as complete as it gets in the league. And they are... The Raiders are catching the Chiefs at literally the worst time, because people talk about this being a potential trap game because the Chiefs just went to the Bucs, played them, and then they have the Bills afterwards, and sandwich in between is the Raiders. I get that mentality, because I had told Trevor before, I'll say it again. When it comes to playing with Patrick Mahomes as your quarterback, I don't believe in trap games. I don't believe that there is a way to make trap games happen, because even though the Chiefs lost to the Colts, that to me wasn't a trap game. That was the Chiefs making mental errors. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that I don't feel like they went in there and said, "Oh, we're just going to blow these guys out." I just think the Chiefs made mistakes, and I think that's what happened in that game. I don't foresee that to happen in this week, and it's because of the fact that in Patrick Mahomes' era, or in his career, there are very few teams he's owned more than the Raiders. Let me give you the specifics. So in the 8 matchups he's had with the Raiders in his career, there are 7-1. And they've outscored the Raiders 299 to 153. Since 2018, when Patrick Mahomes took over and his first time facing the Raiders, the Chiefs have outscored the Raiders 155 to 61 in Arrowhead. Patrick Mahomes has as many games with 4+ touchdowns in his career versus the Raiders than Derek Carr has wins in his career versus the Chiefs, with 3. The Raiders' defense currently ranks 24th in points allowed, 22nd in total yards allowed, 22nd in pass yards allowed, 21st in passing touchdowns allowed, 22nd in yards per play, 30th in takeaways, 16th in first downs allowed, 20th in completions allowed, 28th in penalties. I'm going to keep this one really simple for you guys. The Chiefs are going to blow out the Raiders in this one. It's a terrible matchup. And we know that games always usually tend to go down to matchups. The Raiders don't have anything on defense that can even pose a threat to the Chiefs' offense. Chandler Jones was their biggest signing this offseason. He has 0 sacks in 4 games. Max Crosby's still really good.
Legit.
But Max Crosby's going up 5 to 1
He's like 4 or 5
on an
sacks in the
offensive
year.
line to him. Yeah. He's the only legitimate threat the Raiders have on defense right now. And he's not even a threat in totality compared to the Chiefs' offensive line. I tried to, all week long, find something that could legitimately give the Raiders a fighting hope in this game. And the only thing I could come out of is this is going to go exactly like week 1 went. Where the Chiefs go in, knowing what they have the next week on a short week, because, as we all know, in week 1, they went to the Cardinals. They knew in 4 days they had the Chargers. Big game. We all knew what that game meant to the Chiefs. So what did I say in week 1? I said the Chiefs are going to go in there and put up 21 points immediately against the Cardinals and just kind of coast the rest of the game, put the oars back into the boat and let them coast. That's exactly what happened. The Chiefs went out there, had a 30-point lead going into the fourth quarter, game over. And then they went in there and played the Chargers because they knew that game mattered far more. This Raiders game does not matter to the Chiefs in totality. They know that they need to go out there, coast, beat the shit out of this team, and they get ready for the Bills next week on a short week.
People would argue that's what sets up a trap game, though.
But that's why I'm saying I'm addressing the fact that I don't believe in the Mahomes era you have trap games. You don't see those in the history of the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes as their quarterback. They don't have trap games. They don't fall to bad
and I will
teams.
say, I don't know if you watched the recent episode of The Franchise.
Yes.
At the very end of it, when Patrick Mahomes was in the huddle after they won that Bucs game, he's like, you know what we got
Thank
coming
you.
next week.
So what I'm saying
He's
is,
ready to beat their ass.
From 10,000 feet. This game is not a threat to the Chiefs, but the Chiefs take these games seriously because they know it's also a divisional game.
It's a rivalry between the fans. That's
It's a rivalry in the stands,
That's
not
it.
a rivalry on the
Yeah,
field. The
it's-
Chiefs own the Raiders.
Yeah,
the
we
Chiefs
own-
own the Raiders. They're
Yeah.
the last 8
Fucking
matchups.
rivalry, okay?
The last 8 matchups, the Chiefs have beaten them by an average of 37 to 19.
Yeah, they're not a real
this
rivalry.
is not comparable. So
Chargers is a rivalry.
I tried to conjure something up where I'm like, you know what? Maybe Devontae Adams has this massive game against the Chiefs. That's not happening either. At least not when it matters. Because a
think
lot
he
like
eats.
what happened with the Bucs. I think that you could see Devontae Adams having like 130 receiving yards and a touchdown.
Yeah.
You're like, damn, Devontae had a good game. But then you see
lost by 30 though.
Yeah, but then you see his game didn't really start kicking into gear until the third quarter when Derek Carr was playing against prevent
Yeah, we
defenses.
played 2 high safeties. Yeah.
I'm really trying to. Here's the biggest thing, guys. Is that now we have a month of substance to go off of a sample size to go off of. I think the Chiefs' defense is going to annihilate the Raiders' offense because the Chiefs' defense. We just saw that they lost Renner, their offensive tackle. The Raiders did at the worst time. Because now, and it's never a good.
That's
like,
a
oh,
huge
I'm glad
loss.
we lost him this week.
He's been
to
playing
an ACL
well,
tear.
too.
He's
Yeah.
been playing good. He
Yeah.
was their only good offensive lineman so far this season.
Yep.
Only good one. And now you're facing Chris Jones in this pass attack at the peak of their powers. Like, I know Willie Gay's not there, and I know Trent McDuffie's not going to be there probably for another week. Sounds like he's going to probably be there for the Bills game, which is great news.
They have all their offensive weapons back. I think Renfro's back this
But
week
here's
too.
the problem: is the Raiders do this thing each and every week, where they tend to look pretty good at the beginning of the game, and they just find a way to just look absolutely lost at it. That is coaching. And you're going to tell me that going into Monday Night Football at Arrowhead against Andy Reid and this offense, that Josh McDaniels going to find a way to counter that, even with the weapons? I don't see it.
Yeah.
I just do not see it. And the best part about it is the Chiefs are catching the Raiders in an even better place because of the fact they're not an over team. The Raiders won last week against the Broncos.
got their nut off.
So they got off that schneid. Yeah, exactly. They got that off. They got off the schneid.
They're not desperate like the Colts were.
They're not looking at this like, we got to win this game. Holy
Yeah.
shit, like we got to win. No, they're coming in here with belief because they obviously won the game against the Broncos. But there's context to the matter. What's up, Eddie?
No, I'm just looking at the weather. It looks like it's gonna rain at Monday night.
Oh, and it's around 60 degrees. So Derek Carr, sorry, buddy.
Well, the best part about that is the Chiefs can have a replica of what they just did against Tampa Bay if they have to run the ball.
Yeah.
Because you saw them bully
they're gonna try to
that
run the
front
ball.
seven. They're going to run the ball, and you saw the success that
But they
Chiefs
lost
been getting
their
on
best
the
offensive
ground
lineman.
3 of the 4 games this season.
Yeah.
Week 1, they killed on the ground. Week 3 and 4, they've done really well on the ground. So Guys, I think that's what you're going to see. Or I'm sorry, week 2 and 4, you're going to see the Chiefs establish a run game, regardless of the weather. Honestly, but that to me incentivizes it even more. I think that you're going to see that. But here's the other thing, and I'm going to stick with this, even though the weather part of it, because I think Patrick says I could sling it at anything, and I believe him because I've seen him do it in person.
Oh, rain games are fun, man.
This is my favorite thing, and I'm going to take credit for this one. I'm going to pat myself on the back on this one. So I was watching Monday Night Football last week, and I was listening to Troy Aikman talk. And I thought about it. I'm like, Troy's going to be in Kansas City, and I was playing some stuff back in my head. I'm like, yeah, I remember when he was talking about that, let me know when Patrick Mahomes has 33% of my rings, and then Patrick does it that same season and gets 33% of his rings. I started thinking, I was like, you know what, because I'm a stat freak. I started looking some shit up. I was like, man, I know Patrick's got to be closing in on Troy on some of these records or in some all-time rings. And what do you know? Patrick Mahomes is going into Monday Night Football trailing Troy Aikman all-time in touchdowns by 4 touchdowns.
3.
No, it's 4. To pass him. To pass him,
is
yes.
4.
To tie is 3.
That's what I'm saying. To pass him, it's 4
So he's
touchdowns.
at least going to tie, most likely.
Trailing 3.
Yes, trailing 3. I'm sorry. Yeah, trailing 3 to tie to surpass him is 4. And so I put out there on Twitter, I was like, Troy Aikman has to come to Kansas City and watch Patrick Mahomes pass him in passing touchdowns all time for 76th all time. Guys, it's going to happen. I'm putting it out there right now. Patrick Mahomes is going to pass Troy Aikman for 76 all-time and all-time passing touchdowns this week. And I don't know how they're going to do it because, again, I do think the Chiefs are going to run the ball plenty in this game. But I think Patrick Mahomes is going to have a massive game. I think because you've seen it. He has obliterated the Raiders in his career. Obliterated them throughout the time. Even in the one loss he had against them, the Chiefs put up 32 points.
Our defense was so bad that
It was, and Patrick Mahomes should have had another touchdown in the game, unless they call that bullshit Osemele holding call.
Yep.
He threw that ball perfectly to Tyreek Hill for like a 60-yard touchdown. So even with that, the Chiefs should have had 38,
Amari
39
Cooper
points.
was burning us, though, that day. Man.
But that's what I'm saying, is that Patrick Mahomes is going to have 4+ touchdowns in this game, guys. I'm telling you right now. They may run the ball a lot, but in goal line plays, I think Jody Fortson's going to get another touchdown. I think Juju Smith-Schuster has his first touchdown of the season this week. I'm telling you right now, this is going to be an air show. Patrick Mahomes is going to put up a lot of yards and a lot of touchdowns in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if the Chiefs have over 500 yards of offense in this game because the Raiders have no counter. They have 0 counter.
Yeah, there's
you
nothing they can
can't
do.
stop the Chiefs. If you can do that against the Bucs on the road, imagine what the Chiefs are going to do at home on Monday Night Football against a team that they're not taking lightly. Guys, I'm telling you right now, I'm trying to keep this as brief as possible because I want to hear you guys as well. There's really not much to take away from this one. I think the Chiefs are going to go out there, beat the Christ out of the Raiders really quick, and then run the ball and coast to a very, very big victory, and then get ready for the Bills on a short week.
Yeah, the quote-unquote trap game and the ugly loss scenario is already out of the way. The Colts game, whether we want to call it a trap game or not, we beat ourselves in that game. That game only motivated us to not do that again. Obviously, that was a poor performance all the way around. It was set up by terrible momentum from the jump with the special teams. Just every good team, every great team has moments like that where it's like we've seen the great Tom Brady games where the defense let him down, or at some point, or the special teams blew it, or something like that. Or we've seen Peyton Manning have great games and the game was blown by another, something outside of his control. Just momentum is a massive thing in sports in general, especially in football, man. When you can only play one side of the ball, but this game is just different. The players in the locker room, regardless if you think it's a rivalry or not, these players I still believe get up for these games. And Patrick Mahomes made it very clear at the end of that, like I said, the franchise episode at the very end when they're in that they're huddling up and they're doing their victory huddle in the locker room there at the end. He says, "You know who we got coming next week." Yeah. Patrick likes putting it on the Raiders, bro. Especially after they had the audacity to after their one win within a decade plus of actually having a legitimate win in Arrowhead, they decided to circle our stadium in their bus. I think that something like that, just sits in the pit of the stomach of Patrick Mahomes. I don't think he's ever going to let that go. And I think that those kind of things are what drive him. He's just such a competitor. He doesn't ever want to experience that feeling again. You know what I mean? So I just think this is one of those. I think he still gets up for the Raiders. I think it's very personal for him. And he's bought into the fan base rivalry that is, because in the X's and O's in the actual game, the reality of the situation here, there's not a real rivalry here. There's never been a real challenge from the Raiders, for all being honest, in a long, long time. But within the fan base, like you said, in the seats, this is something that me, knowing a lot of Raiders fans growing up, this has always been something that's very personal to me as well. So I still very much get up for Raider Week. I do think this is a slaughter. It may seem close, I think, to begin with, because I do respect the playmakers that they do have, and I think Derek Carr is a good quarterback. And they definitely have weapons. Waller is a scary player. Davante Adams is a special all-time talent. So I think they will have some points, and it'll be semi-close. But I think once that third quarter starts off, I think that's when we put this game away. I wish we would jump up early. I don't think that's what's going to happen. I think it's a fairly competitive first half, but I think we take off in the second half and we just absolutely put it on them. Because I do think they'll have a fairly good game plan to start off, but there's just no stopping our offense as far as what they have defensively to counter it. So I hoped Patrick Mahomes passes Troy Aikman in that game. That'd be some pretty good poetry for the books. I would appreciate that. 4 touchdowns.
Troy Aikman calls the game.
Yeah, but I do. I think Clyde should be able to eat. I don't think there's much. The defensive front is kind of smoke and mirrors, if we're being honest. Outside of Max Crosby, they haven't been able to produce much. And they had regardless of how bad we think the Broncos were, that was a competitive game. You know what I mean? And they ran all over the Broncos, but it was still very much a competitive game. The Broncos were still in that game for the majority of it, and they're terrible. Right? They're terrible. So I'm not expecting much of a challenge from the Raiders. I think it might be competitive in the first quarter and a half, but I think after that, after we hit our stride and we carry over the momentum that we had coming from the Bucs game, I think we just annihilate these guys as per usual.
I'm just looking online. It says Kansas City leads the all-time series in the rivalry with a 70-54-2 record. So
yeah, how many of those 54
rivalry?
How
The
many of
Chiefs
those
have a winning record.
Rivalry.
The Chiefs have a winning record
54?
against every team in the AFC
Hold on.
West.
Rivalry.
How many of those 54 victories the Raiders have in the last 6-7 years?
Rivalry.
They have to say it's a rivalry because it's within the
Rivalry.
division. They have to label it that, but it's like the Packers and Bears. They're a rivalry compared to as far as the fans go. But that one's even more disparaging.
Just to put this out here as well,
He owns the
we all know that
Bears.
we all know that
I still
Russell
own
we
you.
all know that Russell Wilson's been awful this season, right?
Bad.
Okay, awful. Okay, against this Raiders defense in Las Vegas, Russell Wilson completed 68% of his passes, had 2 touchdowns with a 125 quarterback rating against that defense.
I'm saying, man, it was a competitive game.
That's what I'm saying. They put up 23 points on this Ravens defense, and people can try to convince themselves that this is going to be a close game.
I do think Davante Adams eats though. I think number one receivers has kind of been eating on us.
I mean, I guess because of the whole rivalry thing, everybody thinks it's going to be close.
You better fucking stop with this rivalry bullshit, dude.
The only games
No,
in this
but-
division I give rivalry to is the Chargers because they've been dogfights every time in the last few years.
I mean, I can see it being a close game, or like you guys said, first quarter, second quarter, by halftime, maybe close game, tie game, whatnot. Usually, always happens that we're close enough going into the halftime, and then second half comes in. Derek Carr forgets how to play football. Raiders defense forget how to block, how to tackle.
Especially if it's wet and messy, bro.
It's gonna happen, and it might be a little bit too cold for Derek Carr with the rain. I don't know if the rain's gonna be cold. If it's warm rain, maybe.
It's
But if
high as 60.
rain, yeah.
Are they saying it's like a torrential downpour, or just like kind of like
No, it's a chance of rain, 60%. So
so it may not even rain.
it might. I
Okay.
mean, 60% is quite a bit, but
Yeah, but I'm saying like they're not saying it's gonna be like a
no, it's
severe
not. It's not.
thunderstorm.
No, it's not going to be a
Yeah,
thunderstorm or a severe downpour or anything.
Okay.
But it's going to be rain,
Okay.
and it's probably going to get wet enough to where the field's going to be a
Right.
little bit slippery.
All I know is
and all
Nick
that
Bolton's
stuff.
gonna be ready for Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
That's all
So,
I know.
I do think it's going to be a close game early on. I do think Patrick Mahomes is going to go off in this game. I think him against the Raiders it's something about the Raiders that Patrick Mahomes likes to just go off.
It's
and
personal to him still,
fucking
man. It
destroy
is.
them. And I think what this Chiefs team did is took that loss in 2020 personal, and ever since after that, it's just been demolishing the Raiders, especially after what was it? Was it 2021 where they came in and fucking they did the little huddle?
That was last season,
in the huddle.
and the Chiefs won 48-9.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think they took that personal. I think to this day, I think they still hold a grudge to the Chiefs. And then them hearing stories about them doing a victory lap in 2020, it's all that fuels the players
Yeah.
in this rivalry.
Yep. And I will say too, it doesn't only. I don't think it's just Patrick Mahomes that gets up for these games. I listened to the New Heights podcast this week with Travis Kelce and his brother Jason Kelce preview, which was great. They had Paul Rudd on there. It was an incredible episode for his birthday. But towards the end, they always preview their games for the Eagles and the Chiefs coming up. Travis Kelce, he makes it very clear that he loves playing the Raiders because he always goes off on them. So I think he knows he's very aware that he likes to just demolish them and give it to the Raiders fans more than any other fan base.
I was looking at some stats of I can't remember who the defender
he kills
was.
Them every week.
But it was Travis Kelce against that player with 7 targets to Travis Kelce, and he's given up 7 catches on those 7 targets for like 140
Against the Raiders?
Against the Raiders,
Yeah.
against Travis Kelce.
He always kills them.
When he covers Travis Kelce, I can't remember who that defender
Is it
was.
Abrams? Abrams is their safety. He tends to guard Kelce a lot.
I can't remember who was that player that was guarding Kelce.
It don't matter.
But they were saying out of those 7 targets, Kelce has 7 catches for over 140 yards.
That's what he's averaging?
Yeah, like it's insane what Travis Kelce does to the Raiders.
He kills the Raiders, man.
I mean, I can't expect nothing less this week, and especially the Chiefs coming from a kind of like win that they did this past week against
momentum,
the Bucs,
bro. Yeah.
on national television, going back to national television. This is only gonna pump up the Chiefs, you know?
Well, what I like about it too, it's really the worst scenario for the Raiders because in the 2-week span, the Chiefs had 2 dramatically different outputs. They had that terrible game against the Colts. They don't ever want to taste that again. And they followed that terrible performance up with an all-time performance against an all-time defense. And they want to keep that taste in their mouth. They want to carry on that momentum. So having both of those, and knowing the 2 different dynamics that you can go through on a football field, them carrying over that momentum from that game is just going to... I feel bad for the Raiders, bro. I really do. In this scenario, like I think Pat's is going to go nuclear.
Watch us be like, oh, we're going to win by like 20, fucking end up winning by a field goal.
Yeah.
I do feel like this is one of those kind of games that could potentially end
Well,
like that.
We have the Bills looming next week. You know what I mean? So a lot of people are like, oh, are we going to be thinking about the thinking ahead? Nah, man. That's not how Andy Reid coaches this team.
Well, I don't know, because if you listen to what they said when they were playing the Chargers after the Cardinals, they said that we got this game, but we're focusing on the Chargers.
Oh, because that game was over at half.
But before the game even happened, because Travis Kelce said it on that podcast, on his podcast, like we knew we were playing the Cardinals,
sure,
but we were looking ahead against the Chargers.
Yeah, I mean. I these divisional games though, man, we get up for regardless.
Yeah,
like I mean, like
especially
I said,
against the rivalry against the Raiders.
Yeah, I don't think we're worried about the Bills yet, and I can't wait to get to that.
I do think we are preparing for the Bills, and I think we'll see a little bit of that this week. I do think that's in the back of everybody's mind.
Oh, of course.
But I think that could potentially be a trap game for the Chiefs if they're focusing too much on the Bills next week in their schedule. So we'll see what happens there. But
Andy Reid doesn't lose divisional games, man. He gets up on these games, and he has the game plan ready to go for each one of these divisional foes.
Against the Chargers.
No, but look at the record in the AFC West, dude. There's a reason we've won however many.
I did the numbers. Kelce versus the Raiders in his career are just abysmal, but I narrowed it down to 2018 because he is their dad. And since 2018, he has had 7 receptions per game for 101 yards per game with 5 touchdowns. Like, that's insanely productive against this team. Kelce's gonna have another monster game this week because if you look at his season so far, like people are like waiting for this inevitable drop off. He's on pace to have one of his best seasons ever.
Bro, yeah,
he had a touchdown every single week. He's already had 2 100-yard receiving games. Like, he hasn't had a bad game this season, and so. I think you'd have to pitch me the idea that Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce are not going to have another goat-to-goat connection game because they just did it against a Bucs team that is literally built to stop them. That Bucs defense is the perfect defense to slow down Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, and they destroyed them. Destroyed them. So, and even the game when 2 seasons ago when the Chiefs played the Bucs in the regular season and Tyreek had 269 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. Even in that game, Travis Kelce had 7 receptions for 95 yards.
Yep.
So at when he's not even the focal point, He's getting the absolute production. In this game, he is the focal point. He is the focal point of this offense. He's going to absolutely snap in this one. I would love to give the Raiders some credit, like I said, guys, but I just can't find it. I want them to give me a reason.
We still don't know who they are.
To believe. Well, I know they suck. They're a terrible team. Josh McDaniels is a terrible coach. Derek Carr is a good but not great quarterback. Devontae Adams made a terrible decision in going there. That is the simplicity of this game.
I think they can only get better from here, though. They've struggled so bad out the gate this season. I still believe in the talent that's on their team.
And I hate to imagine.
Defensively, offensively, yes.
I have a hard time imagining that you're going to get better on Monday Night Football against the Chiefs at Arrowhead.
But I mean,
this is a must-win for the Raiders. Coming into Arrowhead.
They got their must-win game last week, but this is a game that they know they're going to have their hands full, and it's going to be overwhelming for them, man.
They can go down 1-4. They have to win this game.
I think. My score in this game.
They will go down 1-4.
I'm going to keep it very modest. I'm going to keep this very modest. I think the Chiefs
win by 30.
I don't think the Chiefs score 40 points. I don't think the Chiefs score 40 points in this game. I could be wrong.
North of 30, though.
It really depends on what the Chiefs do, but they are going to score in the high 30s. I think the Chiefs are going to have a lot of scoring success in the first couple of quarters in an Andy Reid fashion. Really takes the foot off the gas because, again, we know that there's a bigger game next week against the Bills that they're going to have at home as well. They want to get as healthy as possible and ready for that game as possible. And the Chiefs will more than likely be a very healthy team going into that Bills game. Let's hope so. But I do think that the Chiefs are going to score very early, very often. Patrick Mahomes is going to have multiple. I think he's going to have 4 or 5 touchdowns, and I'll go as far as to say, because he'll be one of the key players to this game for me, is Travis Kelce's going to have 3 touchdowns in this game.
Oh,
I'm going to say that right now. I think that Travis Kelce, this season in particular, there's something special about what's going on with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce, because I think they also understand they only have a few more cracks at this together. We all know that Patrick Mahomes is going nowhere anytime soon, but we also know that Travis Kelce just turned 33 years old.
He looks great, though.
He looks great, and he will probably have another 4 awesome seasons of football. But we know this is still the prime of his career, and this is the tail end of his prime career, because we all know that Father Time is undefeated. So eventually, Travis Kelce will slow down, and eventually he won't be a great tight end anymore. But I don't think that time's yet.
Yeah.
I think they're still going to capitalize on the fact that they have a great connection together, and I think they're going to capitalize on this, and then I think on prime time, they're going to want to show it up a little bit. I think that Travis Kelce is going to get 3 of these 4 touchdowns that Patrick Mahomes throws in this game, and I think the Chiefs are going to win 38-21.
I like that score. I'm going to say 35 to 21. I like 21 for the Raiders. I think 21, 24 points sounds decent, because I think there's going to be some garbage time points, but I think we win at least by 10. I don't think we jump to a hot a start as you do. I know the opening script plays. I think we do score first whenever we get our first possession. I think we score, but I think I don't know. That could definitely happen. But I think like the third quarter is where we really take over this game, and that we open that second half. I think if we win the coin toss, we'll defer, let them get their first crack at it. I think it'll seem competitive in the beginning, but it'll be a kind of a mirage, a facade, if you will, the way the game's going. It'll seem more competitive than it is. And I think the third quarter, we just absolutely just put the pedal to the metal and to take this game over. I think Pat throws 3, and I think Clyde gets another one. Clyde or Pacheco. I think Pacheco has a good chance to score this week if we're up like by 10 and we just turn on the Pacheco show, because we gave him a lot of good run. He performed very well. I think he's deserving of going to get one. I would love to see him get go get his touchdown. I would love to see a receiver get a touchdown. That'd be cool. But yeah, I think this is an easy win for the Chiefs, and I hate to like make it sound like it take light of any divisional foe, but this just is a bad situation for the Raiders, and the Chiefs are rolling, and Patrick's very confident, and a confident Patrick Mahomes out there just making plays, and especially for O-line plays the way they did last week against this lackluster defensive line that's been very underwhelming outside of Max Crosby. Pat's going to go out there and have a field day if they give him 2-3 seconds to make plays, and he's escaping the pocket, and any kind of pressure they get, he's going to go out there and have a field day, man. So I want to see a big Juju game. That's what I really, really want to see. I want to see Juju just get off.
Yeah, I think he has that other touchdown from Patrick. I think Travis gets 3 of them, and then
I need to see Juju have 100+ and a touchdown here. I need that. I need Juju to have a big game, because we haven't had a big receiver game yet. We just haven't had any big receiver games yet. I think Sky Moore is getting more and more. And I want to talk about that here in a little bit. I wanted to bring up a point here, but I think Sky Moore gets more and more involved in this offense. I hope he gets some more crack at it, because I think he's incredible with the ball in his hands. So yeah, I think the Chiefs win handily, man.
Yeah, I got the Chiefs winning 31-21. I think we all
got 21. Okay.
I do feel like a lot of those 21 points for the Raiders are going to come late in the third, fourth quarter. Those kind of games where the Chiefs, take that foot off the pedal.
Yeah.
Just kind of cruise to end the game. especially focusing onto next week. That's going to be a tough game for them. They're playing essentially for the 1 seed, next week. So
Yeah.
I do feel like that the Chiefs are going to get up and early, just scoring after score, and then they'll eventually kind of slow down. The Raiders will take over and time possession and all that stuff, running the ball, run the clock. We'll just let them do what they.
And the Raiders' offense this season, although they have skilled position players out the ass, they have a lot of good skill players. They've been extremely underwhelming. Their first game they had 19, the next game they had 23, the next game they had 22, and then they had the 32 against the Broncos. But I think that has more to do with the Broncos than the Raiders. I think the Broncos.
Well, they had a really good game plan.
Yeah, I'll give them credit.
They
for
ran
it.
all over them.
I think it had more to do with the fact the Broncos are just a very overrated defense. People were like, "Oh my God, they're top 5 defense." Yeah, but when you go against a murderer's row of Jimmy Garoppolo, Davis Mills, and Geno Smith, you probably should look good, especially when 2 of those games were at your house. And Jimmy Garoppolo, to his defense, that was his first start of the season, so he was probably rusty as hell. He wasn't practicing with the team for the majority of training camp, so he was probably rusty as hell. And at one point in that game, Jimmy Garoppolo scored more points for the Broncos than Russell Wilson
Self-safety
did.
himself, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'll leave that one. But I just, again, these teams are going in 2 very different directions. And the Chiefs are looking at ascending for more Super Bowls, where the Raiders are just trying to find them. Like Trevor said, they're just trying to find who they are.
Yeah.
You don't get right in games like this when you're that kind of team. This isn't the kind of game where you can go. I think this is going to be very similar when it comes to the energy and the vibe as when we saw the Bills just annihilate the Titans on Monday Night Football. It was Monday Night Football again. Yeah. Week 2, I think it was. Josh Allen's best game of the season to this point. It was not even close. I think it's very similar to that, where I think Patrick Mahomes may not even play in the fourth quarter because it's just that out of hand. It's just an absolute domination. Where
Knowing Pat, he'll want to be out there for every single second. And
sure,
every single second.
I just think the Chiefs are like, look, we got the Bills next week. You put 4 touchdowns and 363 yards out there. Damage done. It'll do, pig.
Titans, from Adam Schefter, Titans have placed wide receiver Treylon Burks on IR.
Damn.
He's now out for a minimum of
The Bobby
4
Trees
weeks.
show.
Damn.
That sucks. That sucks bad.
Key players in this game. I'll go ahead and start this one off. I said last week, and I felt like I nailed this one. I said Andy Reid was going to be a key figure in this one. He got his team focused and ready to go. Coaching staff absolutely had the Chiefs clicking on all cylinders.
Teams, yep.
This week, I'm gonna go with I'm kind of cheating the system here, but I'm going to say it's the Patrick Mahomes Travis Kelce connection for one. I think that, like I said, I think they're both going to have monster games in this one. I think Patrick's going to throw well over 350 yards, 4 touchdowns. Travis Kelce's going to get multiple touchdowns. I'll say at least 2 touchdowns, but I'll go out as far as say I think he gets 3 of them.
He's never had 3 touchdowns in a single game, has he? I think once.
Yeah, he's had I can look it up, but I know he's had a couple games like that.
I can't remember.
Travis hasn't been a big touchdown
Yeah,
guy.
that's what I'm saying,
He has 60 career receiving touchdowns. He does have a throwing touchdown. He does have, I think he has 1 or 2 rushing touchdowns as well. But yeah, he's never been a massive touchdown guy. I think he only has 1 season of double digits.
Right.
But it's consistent. It's always like 5 to 7 to 8. But yeah, I do think that Travis puts himself in a big place tonight and in this game. I also think it's because of the fact that his birthday was just this week. I think they're going to kind of give him an opportunity to really put some out there on prime time.
That makes sense.
So I'll say the goat-to-goat connection of Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce shines bright in this one. I'm going to surprise you guys on this one as my second key figure in this game. Turk Wharton. The reason why I have Turk Wharton in this game is because there's going to be so much focus on Chris Jones in this game, so much focus on the edge rush, so much focus on Nick Bolton.
Middles.
That Turk Wharton's going to get one-on-ones against an inferior offensive line, and Turk Wharton's going to go out there and have at least 1 sack in this game. And I think it's a big sack. I think it's like a strip sack where Derek, because we all know Derek loves to fumble with those little hands of his. I think that Turk Wharton has a big early play in this one that kind of shocks people. Like, damn, I didn't expect Turk Wharton to be a key figure in this one. I think that I'm going to go out on a limb because I feel like I kind of have a lob here with Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. Like, of course, I think I'm going to go as far as say Turk Wharton has a big game in this one and makes an immediate impact in this game, gets the Chiefs a nice little turnover, and they get up multiple touchdowns because of it.
Yeah. So offensively, I need a Juju game, like I said before. I want to see Juju go off. I want him to be the player of the game offensively. I know this is a great setup for Travis Kelce, and it probably will be Travis Kelce that goes off in this game, most likely. But I want to see Juju go out there and just get some great momentum heading into this Buffalo Bills game. We really need a receiver to really go off here, and I think Juju's prime. This is a great spot for him to eat over the middle and up the seam. Him and Patrick Mahomes, their chemistry has been there, and they've made some good throws, and he's been really good actually after the catch, getting extra yards after the catch. He's a strong guy. I need to see him score once or twice would be great. But have over 100 yards receiving, 6 to 7 to 8 catches. I want to see him eat. That's my guy this week. That's who I want to see. And then defensively, this is a layup for me. I just feel like this is a Nick Bolton game. I think after the great running success that they had last week against the Broncos, which was a surprise because that Broncos front is nasty and it's been good, but Randy Gregory going down was hurtful. So with Josh Jacobs absolutely going off and his nads being pumped right now and that great performance, multiple scores, almost damn near 200 rushing yards. He was balling against them. I think they're going to try to implement that running game again, and I think Nick Bolton's just going to straight up say no. I think Nick Bolton's going to go out there and just absolutely be on Josh Jacobs' ass. I think he's going to be all over the place. The dude always leads the team in tackles damn near every week, so that's not a surprise. But I think he's going to make some really big plays and some crushing tackles against Josh Jacobs for a nice, pleasant surprise from his end. So those are my two guys.
For offense, I'm going to go MVS on this one. I think
Nice.
this is a perfect game for MVS to go off, especially with that Raiders secondary and the speed that MVS carries. And I think him and Patrick Mahomes this past week against the Bucks kind of showed what they can do in a deep game.
Yeah, that's a good call.
So I do think this is going to be a perfect game for Patrick Mahomes and MVS to click and get that game that we desperately want to see from one of these wide receivers.
Especially if we're running the ball well and really throw a little play action in there. Bro, a deep shot to MVS, that'd be
so
great.
I do think this is an MVS kind of game. It has it written all over it. I do like that Juju pick as well. For my defensive player, I'm going to go Chris Jones. Yeah. This offensive line is hurting.
He's been so
terrible,
good this year,
it's
man.
bad. And Chris Jones this season has just been tearing it up, putting the pressure on the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
And we know that Derek Carr, once you put the first pressure on him, he crumbles the rest of the game. And I do expect Chris Jones to put that pressure on Derek Carr early.
He tends to do that. Yeah.
Early, and it's going to force Derek Carr to take the sack or to do whatever that Derek Carr does.
Well, and to your point, I think ours kind of merged when I said that the focus is going to be so much on Chris Jones. That is the fact. But to your point, it may not matter.
Yeah.
It may not matter. Like, you can focus on the man, but he's still going to get through you. And
He
I just
could
think
rack
that's
up a
what's gonna
couple
happen.
sacks
And let's be real.
quickly.
Chris Jones is in the prime of his career, prime of his life. He's at 28 years old, and he knows that there might be a chance he's not with the Chiefs next season. So he's kind of showcasing a little bit this year for his next team potentially. Or, hey, Chiefs, you want to extend me, and maybe we can soften up that cap hit next year. There's a lot of options here. If the Chiefs find, because like we always talk about, our guy BJ Kissel always talked about how the Chiefs don't like signing guys after the age of 28. There have to be exceptions to the rule. We knew that Travis Kelce was that, right? Joe Tooney was obviously that coming in here at Kansas City. Maybe Chris Jones will be that. And if he goes out there and has a 2 or 3 sack game against the Raiders in prime time, the Chiefs may have to be like, fuck, dude, we're going to have to pay him. We're going to have to pay him because he's still at the top of his game. Like,
do it now.
There's no slowing down with Chris Jones. He looks as great as he did 5 years ago.
Yeah,
he looks
good.
as great as he did in 2017. Maybe the sack totals aren't there right now when I think he had 15 and a half sacks that
batted
year.
balls and
But
pressures.
yes, he's so effective. So, Eddie, you might nail it on that one. Trevor, I hope you do too because I want to see that Juju game as well because I want to
Yes.
see, selfishly, I want to see Juju here for the next 4 or 5
Yes,
years.
I love Juju,
I
man.
think he's a great fit here. And you saw in the Cardinals game where he started getting really into that rhythm.
Well, even last
I think
week he
he'll
had a
get that-
couple good plays, man.
I think
Yeah.
he'll get into that one as well. That was actually a point I was going to make about the Colts game, about the explosive plays, missing Tyreek Hill. I mean, before on the drive that Travis Kelce missed the touchdown, dropped the touchdown, Juju had a 53-yard reception
Yeah.
in that game. And only like 11 of those yards were Patrick Mahomes throwing the ball.
That's what I'm saying. He's
So
been
he
really good after the catch. Yeah,
So
he's
I think,
strong, man.
I hope you guys are right, honestly, man. I hope I'm wrong completely. And Juju has a couple touchdowns. MVS has a bowler game, and Chris Jones goes off. That's what I'm hoping for as well. I do want to move before we get to hold this L. I do want to get to just a couple matchups here when it comes to this Week 5 slate. I want to start with the Bills hosting the Steelers. Now, this shouldn't be a game where we sit here and decide, okay, who's going to win this one? The Bills should 100% win this game, which is why this game does concern me. The Bills are clearly the better team. Josh Allen is clearly the better quarterback.
Yeah.
But for some damn reason, when it comes to the Bills and teams that they should just annihilate, it doesn't always happen. And right now, as it currently stands, Vegas has the Bills as a 14-point favorite at home. They should win by 14 points. I don't think they will. I don't think this game is going to be close to the end of the game, but I do believe the Steelers are going to make Josh Allen work. I do. I think the Steelers are going to make him work. And I think, because you've also seen it, as great as Josh Allen is, I think he's the second best quarterback in the league. He hasn't been good for about 2 weeks. I know he had 400 yards against the Dolphins. He threw the ball 63 times.
Yeah.
You better have 400 yards and have
Yeah.
if you throw the ball over 60 times in a game. And he still wasn't good in that game. There were multiple times he was passing bounce passes to his wide receivers in that game on the goal line that should have won them the game. They had 19 points, and he threw the ball 63 times. Like, Josh Allen has not been... That Titans game, he was like a god. He looked like against the Patriots in the playoffs last
And
year.
that
He looked like
Rams-
against
the
us.
Rams game.
He looked like the Chiefs divisional game.
Yeah.
He was otherworldly. But even in that Rams game, he had multiple turnovers.
Yeah, but he was still balling.
He was
though.
still
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
I won't say he was good in that game. He was great. He was an A+++ against
He's
the
had
Titans.
a lot of turnover-worthy plays this year, man. A lot.
He has not looked as good as I was. Even against the Ravens, they won the game. He had 213
Oh, they had
passing
to
yards.
come back. They were down the whole game.
Right. They put
Yeah.
up 23 points.
The Ravens like, okay, well, this is what we do. We
And
let you
that
come
was
back.
That was against the single worst pass defense in the league.
Ravens, man. That Ravens stat where they've only trailed by 14
Josh
seconds
was
is mind-blowing.
Awful for 2.5, 3 quarters. He was awful.
Yeah.
It wasn't even just bad. He was awful.
And
so
yeah, the Steelers defense is better than that Ravens
I
defense.
think Minka Fitzpatrick is going to pick him off in this one, man. I think Minka might be the best safety in
He's
football.
so good,
Like,
man.
legitimately best safety in
But
football.
they need to generate pressure up front on Josh Allen, though. That's the thing.
Well, that's the thing about Josh Allen, though, is that sometimes he creates his own pressure.
True.
And he's been getting hit like crazy this season. They better keep him careful because the Steelers are a pissed off bunch right now.
Mm-hmm.
They've completely underachieved. You can see them take a few nice little hits on him this week. I'm not saying I want to see him get hurt. I'm
Yeah.
saying watch out because he's been taking a lot of punishment. The Bills will win this game, but I do think the Steelers cover.
Yeah, so if you're betting, I would take the points.
Yes.
For the
Yes.
Steelers. Yeah, for sure. I'm with you on that. This is definitely a blow up spot for the Bills. It seems it definitely should be because the Steelers just lost to the Jets. So that was rough at home. My God, I never thought I'd see Mike Tomlin lose to the Jets at home. With Zach Wilson making his first appearance this season,
And
that
he wasn't even good.
That was tough to. Yeah, he wasn't good to the last couple drives. He found Corey Davis on a couple big plays, and it was pretty impressive throws, but. That was rough. That was rough to digest as a Steelers fan. I can only imagine. I like Kenny Pickett, though. I think the Pickett to Pickens duo could be something here. I think they could kind of get something going because with the decimated secondary of the Bills right now, they're still suffering some injuries, still missing some key players, and one of them's out for the year. Unless that defensive line from the Bills actually wrecks this game, which they could. They can get out because that offensive line for the Steelers is still not great. But I like the athleticism of Kenny Pickett. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to be a good player for them. Not a great player ever, really. I don't believe, but I think he's a good, solid quarterback, and I think he can put up some points to be competitive in this game. It really comes down to this matchup. Really comes down to how the Steelers defense reacts to the offense of the Bills because they're getting everybody back. Gabe Davis is back. Stephon Diggs is healthier at this point, and they've been utilizing.
Poyer's banged up. Dane
Well, as I'm
Jackson's
saying, the
still banged
offense
up.
though. As far as the offense of the Bills, like this game really comes down to how the Steelers react to. And I mean, I know the Steelers beat them last year, but this is a much different Steelers team right now. There are a lot of things, there are a lot of new faces and names. But I mean, the Steelers are loaded offensively with weapons. I mean, they got a lot of. Najee Harris could definitely go have himself a game. Finally, he's been pretty bad this year so far. But I want to see I like the athleticism of Kenny Pickett. I think he rushed 2 touchdowns last week. He had 3 picks. Only 3 incompletions, and 3 of those incompletions were picks.
Well, and to his defense, real
but
quick.
they were all his fault.
Yeah,
Two of them weren't.
that first pick was actually on Chase Claypool.
Right, it was
Chase
tipped.
Claypool didn't go up and get that ball. That
And
was
the
a
last one was a
50-50
Hail Mary to like
Yeah.
a fuck it, chuck it kind of game.
Chase Claypool, he didn't fight for that ball. That was
Right.
really bad effort on him. He was significantly better than that
Yeah,
defensive
Pickett
back.
looked pretty good to me.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. So if he has another week of preparation, doesn't get thrown into a game, I know it's the Bills and they're a tough one to prepare for, especially defensively, but I think Pickett and Pickens could go out there and have a little, because they had that connection because they practice a lot.
They can have
they're
a little
both, they're
pick,
both,
Nick.
Well, they're both the rookies, you know what I mean? So, yeah. I think it'll be a little more competitive than the 14
They
points that they're
definitely
laying
covered.
on.
I think that's disrespectful.
That's rough.
If this was a primetime game, because the Bills, they get up for those primetime games at home,
Yeah.
and the crowd just be absolutely nuts. But it's not. It's a noon game. It just has that
the
feeling.
pride of Mike Tomlin, I just can't see him
Yeah.
go out there and just laying down.
Yeah, I feel like this is one of those games where, we're watching Red Zone. We're like, dude, it's 14-12 right now. Like, what the hell?
KU just took the lead, just letting you guys know.
Nice.
16
Very nice
10.
to hear. Very
They
nice
just
to
scored
hear.
a touchdown.
Let's go.
Very
baby.
nice to hear.
Let's go.
I heard that Jalen Daniels didn't come out with the team though at the end of the beginning of the second
I'm not
half.
even sure.
Okay.
I don't even know who the quarterback is right now.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Jay Bean.
okay.
He's 6
Get it,
for
Bean?
He's 6 for 7, 99
Bean,
yards,
let's go.
2 touchdowns.
Let's
Take
go.
it. We'll take it. Lance Leipold, get this victory, bub.
That system's working.
But yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. I think that when we watch Red Zone, we're gonna look at this game and be like, how is this a 2-point game going into the third quarter? What the hell is going on in Buffalo? I think that's what's going to happen in that one. Eddie,
No, I do think that the Buffalo, this game, they should blow it. Kind of like the Chiefs against the Raiders, they should blow it out the park.
Yeah.
But this, for some reason, the Steelers defense went there last year and just made the living hell for
Josh was awful in that game.
But is it a trap game?
It could be for the
It
Bills.
really could be.
It really could be for the
I'm
Bills.
picking the Bills, but yeah.
For some reason, the Bills play really bad against really bad teams.
or underachieving teams.
They play down to the
Yeah.
level sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, and this Steelers team it's a bad team.
They're bad.
It's a bad team. They're 1-3. This is potentially Mike Tomlin's first season.
They're gonna have a losing record this year. Yeah.
I'm not giving up on him yet. Just this little sidebar. I'm not giving up on the. I think because I believe it. Like Trevor, you said about Kenny Pickett, I believe in the kid.
Yeah.
And if they get any type of offense, because they had 4 touchdowns going into last week's
just
game
doesn't-
before he got injured or before he got in. He had 2 touchdowns already. So
I
I'm just saying.
like him. I like him, but I mean that defense is just decimated, man.
Yeah, and that offensive line is terrible.
But yeah, they suck. They do
It's
suck.
a bad
But that's why they put Pickett in there because he's a little bit more mobile than Trubisky was
Yeah.
willing to be.
And if the moment's not too big for
Wasn't
Pickett, he's got weapons. I'm just saying.
throw a pick his first.
Yeah, but it was a 50-50 ball that Chase Claypool didn't get.
He put it out there to
over
be
and over again.
caught, but
it was
Chase
right on
tipped
stride.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, because Chase had the ball's right there for him, and he
Well,
just
I mean,
kind of took a
and he
back
got thrown
dive.
into a game where they were trailing.
Yeah.
Like Mitchell
Yeah.
was playing terrible, and then you just get thrown into a game with no preparation of being the guy. That's a
He
lot.
still scored 2 touchdowns.
Right, rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
This is, I think, for the Bills, a definition of a trap game for them.
Yes.
because they did beat them in Buffalo last year.
How
So-
amazing would it be to see Pickett go out there and outduel Josh
Oh my
Allen?
God, that'd be the number 1 story of the week. That'd
Bro,
be the
the
number 1
Steelers
story
have
of the week.
weapons, bro. They got Deontay Johnson, Claypool. I mean,
And I know ESPN doesn't like to talk about Josh Allen's inefficiencies. They like to just, pump this guy up as the
Yeah.
white knight. But if they found a way to beat the Bills in Buffalo again for a consecutive year, that's got to be the headline of the entire story. I know Cowboys play the Rams,
Yeah.
but yeah. So another AFC matchup I want to get to. The Chargers are visiting the Browns. I do believe the Chargers on paper are the better team, but that's what we always talk about is the Chargers being the best team in football on paper, and that just always seems to be something that is a disappointment. Chargers coming into this game as road favorites. It's a pick 'em essentially. It's 1.5 points on the spread. The over under is 46.5. The Browns are going to win this game. And the reason why is because the Browns are actually much better offensively than people want to give them credit. They've actually been a very good offense this season, considering the fact that they don't have their starting quarterback. Jacoby Brissett's actually been very decent this season, and they have the best run game in football. The Browns have an unbelievable one, too. We already know that. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are just unbelievably good. And Jacoby Brissett, again, has been throwing the ball decently well this season. I think they've been disappointing because their defense hasn't been good as people anticipated them to be. But when you don't have Myles Garrett last week, that's going to happen. Myles Garrett is maybe the best defensive player in the game. They get him back this week, supposedly. He's been practicing. It looks like Myles Garrett might give it a go, and I think that's going to be the deciding factor because the Chargers' offensive line has been decimated. They've been banged up. Corey Linsley's back, but how much back is he really?
Yeah.
That knee injury is still really messing with him. And let's be real, guys. The Chargers have a horrific matchup in this game if you really think about it. The Chargers can't run the ball. Outside of one game, they've been one of the worst teams in the NFL at running the ball, and they have again for the second consecutive year one of the worst rush defenses.
Right.
So I think the Browns are going to play possession game here and just limit Justin Herbert's ability because Justin Herbert's going to get his. We all know this guy can just dice up any defense at any given Sunday, but they're going to limit that ability by running the ball and playing the chain game, or there's possession by possession, slowing the game down. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game, huh?
Nick Chubb.
Yeah, I think Nick Chubb and Kareem
He's a
Hunt
problem.
both are going to have monster games, and I think they're going to win a really ugly, like 23-17 kind of game, limiting the Chargers' ability to score points. I think that I take the under on the over-under. I take obviously the Browns covering the spread, and I think the Browns win a very ugly home victory in this one against the Chargers.
yeah, this one was tough for me to pick who I wanted to win. I think the Chargers win. Because I just don't believe that Browns defense has been very underwhelming this year. The secondary has been allowing a lot of yards, and I think this Mike Williams is a terrible matchup for them. I think he's going to go out there and go off. And then the fact that just coming off that big blow up game from Austin Eckler, getting him going in the passing game, still haven't been able to run the ball very well because their run blocking has been terrible. But they are also terrible against the opposing rushing offenses. Their defense cannot stop the run at all, and that's a problem when the Browns can go out there and just control the clock and run with Nick Chubb and Hunt. That's definitely a problem, and it's in Cleveland. But I think Herbert is playing well enough to where I'm just going to pick the better quarterback here to get it done. And I still think the Chargers are the better team in my mind for sure. I think we all know that, but I think Stefanski's obviously the better coach in this scenario. But I'm taking the talent of Justin Herbert to find a way to win this game. His connection with Mike Williams has been pretty good this year. They've been dominating, and they do not have the corners to cover him at all. And I think he has a big game. And Austin Eckler eating in the check down game, I think as well, is a problem for that Browns defense. I know they're getting Garrett back, but to me, he's been a little underwhelming this year as well, at getting after the quarterback and collecting sacks. And I mean, it could take one good hit on Herbert to hurt him a little more and extend that pain.
That's something I think a lot of people are forgetting.
For sure.
He's still battling back.
But he was still delivering some really good throws last week. Granted, it was against a bad team.
Jaguars. He had some good throws.
Well, yeah, not a bad team, but a secondary that has been allowing their strength is more rush defense.
Yeah.
And that's why Austin Eckler ate, because they still weren't able to run the ball well, but Austin Eckler was getting those checkdowns, and he's so good at those, getting yards after the catch. That's how he blew up. But I just think this is gonna be a close game through from start to finish. But I think it comes down to a final possession of the Chargers, and I think Herbert goes out there and finds a way to win by 3. I say they win by 3.
Yeah, this is gonna be a close game. This is gonna be an ugly game. I think overall.
Yeah.
I think this is gonna be just a brawl. I think it's gonna come down to who can stay the healthiest in this game.
That's a fair point.
Is Keenan Allen back this week? Or
No, he's missing again.
Yeah, he's out again.
He's missing again.
That's a
That
big
hamstring is way worse than I think people initially thought.
That's a big loss for the Chargers.
Oh, yeah.
And we've seen it the past few weeks. They've struggled without Keenan Allen.
Mike Williams is good, but he ain't a wide receiver one.
Exactly. So
He's been balling, man.
If the Browns just go out there and run the ball like you said with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, I think this is a perfect game for them to
And
kind
people
of keep.
forget Joey Bosa's not playing again.
Yeah,
He's out for
6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah.
to keep that ball away from Justin Herbert, because Justin Herbert's gonna get his.
Right.
He's gonna cook regardless of who's he playing.
Right.
So I think the best game plan for the Browns this week is to just run the ball and.
That's the game plan every week.
Yeah, but I think that the Chargers are gonna be good enough to outlast what the Browns are going to give them.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a very, very close game. I'm with Trevor, maybe 3 points, 6 points. It's going to be a very close game, a one possession game.
It comes down to the last drive.
Yeah, so
Wouldn't you guys agree though that
we'll see.
if it's an ugly one possession game, that actually favors the Browns being at home and being more of a team that is able to play those types of games better than the Chargers? Because the Chargers are all Justin Herbert, whereas the Browns can rely on their run game,
Sure.
get the short, third
But
ones.
my scenario comes down to it being that,
Yeah.
but the ball is in the hands of Herbert to finish the game, and
sure.
I think he has
I'd
enough
pick
in him to
Herbert in
go.
that
but then you still have
down the
Myles
field.
Garrett that you're facing off
Right.
with. So
I just think that the inefficiencies with the Chargers having skill players out like Keenan Allen, Joey Bosa, guys like that, and other dudes banged up, I think that's gonna hurt them far more than it's not.
I will not be surprised if the Browns win this game.
In a smash mouth type of game like this in Cleveland, Jacoby Brissett playing good football.
He's been okay.
He's been good for what he is.
He was good
I'm
against the Steelers. That was his
exactly.
best game for sure.
The play action being a factor for them because they know that the Chargers are going to have to respect the hell out of the Browns' rush attack. The play action working to their favor. I think that Amari Cooper can have a big game in this one as well. I'm assuming the Browns are going to go out there and play a good football game is what I'm saying. And it's going to be an ugly style game. And again, the Chargers don't like to play ugly. Because if the Chargers have to play ugly football, they usually lose. Because there was an ugly game against the Chiefs, and what happened? They lost. That's what I'm saying. The Chargers are they're the type of team that want to get out there and air the ball out, look good, flashy, want to play an efficient type of offensive air raid type of offense.
Yeah.
Because they don't like to run the ball. So if it has to get ugly, they're going to have to rely on the run game, and then it's not existing. Because as good as Austin Eckler is, more times than not, he's more effective in the pass game than he is in the run game.
Yeah.
So I just don't trust their run game in this one, and I do trust the Browns. That's why I have them winning a close, ugly game. But 2 more games I want to get to, and then we're going to be wrapping this bad boy up. It's actually an NFC matchup, and I just want to put it out there because I think that this is not really a bold game, a bold statement to make. But the Eagles are going and visiting the Cardinals, and I think this is a game that Jalen Hurts really puts himself in the MVP upper echelon if he hasn't already, because I think he's had an unbelievable season to this point. I think the Eagles are going to win this game by 20-plus on the road against the Cardinals. I think Jalen Hurts has 5 touchdowns in this game.
They're only a 5.5 favorite.
Well, yeah, that's actually big for a road game, though. That is a big 5.5 on the road is always a big.
I'm just saying in context with how good the Eagles have been, how bad the Cardinals have been.
I think the Cardinals score over 45 points, or the
you
Eagles
can tease,
score 45 points
like
in this game.
Yeah, you can tease like a 10-point
Yeah,
win.
I think Jalen Hurts throws 3 touchdowns and rushes for 2. I think Jalen Hurts has his best game of the season. He's already been stellar, and I think this is the game where he really puts himself. Where they're like, is it Mahomes and Hurts? Is it Lamar and Hurts? Is it Josh Allen and Hurts? Regardless of who the other guy is, it's going to be his name next to them. I really think going into Monday, going into Tuesday, national media, they're talking about Jalen Hurts having a 5-touchdown game on the road and then winning 45-26. That's what I think that we're going to talk about in this one, or 45-24, because I think they're going to win by 20-plus. That's the only reason I put that game out there. I don't know if you guys have thoughts on this one or not. It's kind of a boring matchup of my eyes because I don't really think the Cardinals are a very good team at all. They're going to get DeAndre Hopkins back next week, which would have made this game better if they'd have gotten back this week. But I just think that the Cardinals are just right now kind of a lost team, and the Eagles are clicking on all cylinders, man. The only unbeaten team left in the league.
I can't get with the 20-plus, but just because the Cardinals are the trash, the garbage time kings. They love to score in garbage time, and Kyler Murray just wings it and somehow finds ways to score in bunches towards the end of the games when they're getting destroyed. So 20-plus is rough for any team really to win. There haven't really been any major blowouts outside of that Titans game and the
Chiefs Cardinals.
Well, yeah, I mean, but they still scored a lot of garbage time points and make it look closer than it was.
They scored 21 points.
Yeah, no, but I mean, they were within. They could. I definitely picking the Eagles in this game, not a question. But a lot of betting people are tending to kind of favor the Cardinals here for this to be a first, because this is the first matchup for this defense, the Eagles defense, like facing a true mobile quarterback.
Yeah.
Because the Jaguars blew that game against. They had They started 14-0. And then Trevor Lawrence fumbled the ball like 4 times, and they lost all 4 fumbles. That's not going to happen every time. A lot of times when you fumble the ball, there's a good chance you recover it. You losing all 4 fumbles was massive in that game. And the Jaguars had every reason to win that game. You start up 14-0.
I think the Jags are legit, though.
Oh, of course. But I'm saying, so to me, that was kind of a fluky loss. I think they had a great chance to win that game. You fumble 4 times, you lose all of them.
I agree.
You know what I mean? So if Kyler plays a clean game and he's moving around and he's making it difficult for that defensive line to get after him, which is very difficult to catch and get down, it could be a better game than we think.
Okay.
I think this game is fairly competitive. I think Kyler actually plays a fairly good game in this one. Hollywood Brown is a speedster, and he has yet to drop a ball this year, which was his problem back with Lamar. He was dropping too many passes. Well, possibly, yeah. I don't think the Eagles lose this in any way.
Yeah.
But I think it's a little more competitive than a 20-point victory.
Sounds good. Eddie, you got any thoughts on this one?
No.
There we go. Final matchup I
Eagles.
want to talk about this week, and then we can move on. It's actually a game I think is going to be insanely awesome. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game and a lot of fun. Is the Sunday Night Football matchup, the Ravens hosting the Bengals. An interdivision,
It's a game of the week for me.
big-time game.
Yeah.
Both teams are 2-2. Both teams have been very disappointing to this point in different ways. The Bengals had a very rough start to the season. The Ravens somehow find ways to lose games that they've been holding the lead for everything but 9 seconds.
And the Bengals beat their ass last year.
And the Bengals whooped them both times. I will say, though, the Ravens had like 11 starters on IR in those matchups. So I think the Burrow Bengals just kind of took care of business the way they wanted to.
Yeah.
This is why I'm picking the Ravens, though. Because not only does John Harbaugh want to make a statement against a team that just annihilated them both times last season, where I think Burrow had like 950 passing yards in those 2 games combined and like 6 touchdowns. It's also the fact that the Ravens, guys, you know that they've lost 5 straight home games? The Ravens have lost 5 straight home games.
That's crazy.
But I have to imagine at some point, man, that pride's going to kick in, and they eventually get off the schneid
It's
and get
typically
that.
one of the toughest places to go for
Right,
it. Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like, and now their pass defense has been abysmal, but the Bengals' pass game hasn't been as good as we thought they would be this year. They've not been nearly as good.
Defensive line's been pretty good.
So what I think is going to happen is 2 things. I think the Bengals get right, and they start scoring points, and they have those downfield throws. Jamar Chase finally has that big game that we've been waiting on all year. T. Higgins plays well. Joe Mixon gets involved in the pass game as well. but it doesn't matter because Lamar Jackson goes absolutely buku on that Bengals defense. Has to, and he will. I think that Mark Andrews, because I was expecting him a big game last week, did not at all.
Yes.
I think Mark Andrews has that get-right game where he has a couple touchdowns in the red zone. Lamar Jackson has 3 or 4 touchdowns. This is a high-scoring game. I could very well see this one being like 38-34, something in that regard. The over-under right now is 48. I think they go way over that. I think this game's in the 60s combined, and I think the Ravens squeak out a very close, competitive, high-scoring, fun Sunday night football game at home and break that 5-game home losing streak and get back in the winning column, get back in the winning formation at 3-2. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I'm taking the better coach and quarterback in this situation. That's Lamar Jackson and John Harbaugh. They can't lose this game. This is a must-win for them in my mind. They don't want to, and the fact they they lost to them twice last year. They got to get similar to how the Chiefs needed to get that revenge on the Bucs, and they did it in a very elite fashion. I think Lamar is absolutely he's been going off every week, which is frustrating, man. But they just keep blowing leads. I think they get a lead. I think they managed to hold it. I think it is a very high-scoring game. I think both these teams. I think it's going to be. This is set up just to be an absolute shootout. Both these offenses have been really good all year. I will say the Bengals haven't really proven to me yet that I think that they're really back. Joe Burrow still gets hit a lot, still has a lot of pressure on him. I know they've recently beat the Jets in a banged up Miami team.
Yeah.
I really haven't seen the Bengals really impress me yet.
That's what I'm saying.
So I think there is a chance where the Ravens go out here and absolutely destroy them. I think that's a scenario what happens too. But I think there is too much pride in it. I think there's too much talent on the Bengals to actually just go get wiped, get their asses kicked. So I think it will be competitive. I think it will be high scoring. This is so much sound on this football field for this game. To me, it's the game of the week to watch. There's a reason it's Sunday night football. It's going to be a very competitive game. Joe Burrow should have good numbers at the end of this game. Lamar Jackson's going to be nuclear in my mind. He has to. You're defending home field, man. 5 in a row. I didn't even know it was 5 in a row. I was going to say they can't lose 2 in a row because they lost at home last week. I didn't know it was 5 in a row. That's insane. That's really hard to believe for John Harbaugh. Right. And the Ravens even when the Ravens were bad, they were still a tough team to play in Baltimore. So Lamar Jackson losing 5 in a row is rough. He cannot make it 6. I think Lamar Jackson goes out there and defends his home field, gets this victory, doesn't let that lead dwindle away and lose it. The defense has really got to step it up, though, and support Lamar. They've been so bad at keeping leads and keeping people out of the pay dirt. So this week, John Harbaugh for his pride, Lamar Jackson for his pride, they got to go out there and get this win. It's a tough offense to go against, tough team to play against. They had their number last year, but I think that changes this week, and I think Lamar goes out there and balls, and they win.
Yeah, I think this is a must-win for the Ravens, but I think Lamar's going to go out there and cook. I think this Bengals defense is not as good as a lot of people may think. I think the Ravens have a very, very good opportunity to go out there and just blow them out. Especially after last season, the last 2 games, the 2 games they played against the Bengals, I believe they blew them out twice, and it wasn't even close in those 2 games. So I think this is kind of that revenge game for the Ravens. Obviously, after the loss last week against the Bills and the way they lost, they have to win, and I think this team deserves to win. Lamar Jackson has been balling this season. Yeah. He has incredible numbers, and for him to not be 3-1, 4-0, it's crazy.
Yeah, we talk about Jalen Hurts, but he's been better than Jalen Hurts. He just doesn't have the wins.
And to the Ravens' defense, they absolutely blew that game against the Bills.
Yes.
They should have absolutely won that game.
And the Dolphins.
They're up 20-3.
Yeah,
the Dolphins one was way worse.
Yeah, the
it happened in 1 quarter.
Yeah,
they're up 20+.
It's crazy. I think this game is written all over for the Ravens to win this game. I just don't think the Bengals are a good team this season. They're struggling. And I do think that the Ravens are going to capitalize on that.
Well, and here's the thing why the Ravens, real quick, will have to win this game is if you look at the rest of their schedule, it doesn't get any easier. Right. So not only do they have 5 more divisional games throughout the rest of the schedule, they have back-to-back road games against the Buccaneers and the Saints. Now, the Saints haven't been as good as we anticipated them to be. But yeah, by that time, they'll be healthier. Jameis Winston will be back. Their defense will be healthier. Kamara will be back. Like they will have their guys back. Not to mention they got to go to Jacksonville as well. So Atlanta's been a surprisingly decent team this year. Like they don't have an easy schedule. So they have to win this game.
It's their defense. They got to figure out their defense. Their defense has been bad.
Yeah.
They can't keep leads.
All right, well, guys, from what I hear, we have one more order of business to tend to. What's it called, guys? Hold this L. Each and every week, we finish off each and every episode and series with a series of L's in the world of sports. When those L's in the world of sports are not friendly or friendly, we promise you, who is ever holding those L's in the world of sports, deserve those L's in the world of sports. Eddie Ortiz, Mr. Yo-Yo-Yo, who's holding the L for you this week, and why is it F1?
I'm gonna give it to the British F1 media. The way that they're treating drivers that do not happen to be British or white in any way, they've been very, very vocal and critical against them. This past few races, Sergio Perez, who's the driver for Red Bull, hasn't had the greatest of results, but at the same time, they're not bad results either. You know, he didn't get podiums in the last 2 races going into last week's race, and they were saying that this was Red Bull's biggest mistake on signing him for an extension and yada yada yada. And this is coming after Fernando Alonso, who's a Spanish driver, criticizing the British media because him and Hamilton had a little accident, and he said something in the lines of Hamilton can't race if he's not in first place or whatever, and the British media just completely came out and destroyed Fernando Alonso and blah 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 and yada yada yada. And anytime a British driver does something bad or anything, they don't bat an eye. You know, they just turn the other way.
Yeah.
They don't make a big deal about it. But when a Mexican or a Spanish or any other driver does something bad or has not a great race, the media's like, oh, he's the biggest mistake that they made and blah, 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 and yada, yada, yada. And what a way for Sergio to fucking shut them up last week. He not only qualified P2, but he ended up winning the race last week. And the best part of him winning that race last week was what he said on the radio. He was like, when they talk, we shut our mouths and we show them. That's what he said on the radio. And he said,
Let your walk do your talking.
And he said, this is the Mexican way.
I like that.
And everybody knew
That's
what
a
he was
shot.
talking. Yeah,
That is a shot. I
everybody
like that.
knew exactly what he was talking about because everybody saw what the media was saying about Sergio Perez the past 2 weeks before that race. So, yeah, the British media just favors their drivers. I get it. They're very homers, I guess you can say, very biased. But at the same time, they're being very, I guess you can say, racist towards drivers that are not
Pretty obvious.
That not happen to be of white or British descent. So it's very sad to see, especially in Formula One, a sport that I grew loving this past few years. And I like what Formula One is kind of doing is like saying that the We Racist won and all this stuff and what Lewis Hamilton. I do hate Lewis Hamilton as a driver, but what he does like for people of color, for other kinds of ethnicities out there, he's standing up and being a vocal voice because it's very hard to join this sport if you don't have money or if you're not white. So I like what Lewis Hamilton is doing. He's helping all these kinds of different ethnicities make it to Formula One.
Right.
Make it to Formula 3, Formula 2, Formula 4. You know, trying to make the sport a better place, better diversity. But the British media is just not helping them.
Yeah.
At all. So
there's racial bias in a predominantly white sport? Are you kidding me?
yeah, who knew that, huh? Yeah, so I love the way Sergio shut them the fuck up. It was just beautiful.
That is beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that
I'm sure as a
story.
Mexican man, it's got to feel good as well.
It
A little bit of pride
was,
in there.
It was beautiful. It was amazing hearing that national anthem being played on the podium. So, yeah, man. So, British Formula One media, you're going to have to do me a favor and
Hold this L. Trevor Twiddle, who's holding the L for you this week?
So me myself, I'm a big fantasy guy. I love playing fantasy sports, daily fantasy, whatever it is. But there's a massive toxicity amongst fantasy players, and them discounting like athletes and their lives as if they're like a pawn in a chess game, and they're not like an actual human being. I've been seeing it way too much already early in this season. I know it's your money, and I know you're playing, and I know there's pride for you as well. But I remember last year when was it last year or 2 years? It was a couple years ago, I think, when I forget the running back for the Niners went down. Either way, injuries happen. When Nyheim Hines just recently got hurt in this game the other night, and it was a dangerous hit, and he looked like he was shook up. The Tua situation. Those two pivotal players in their said game were pretty pivotal as far as like people betting on them or people playing fantasy sports and counting on them in their lineup to perform, and then they get hurt in mid game. And I've just been seeing nothing but like just nasty vitriolic rhetoric amongst fantasy players, and threatening their lives and cursing them and their family and all these things. And we even got Nyheim Hines coming out with a tweet yesterday talking about, when will people understand we don't care about your fantasy team? Like, because he's been just getting absolutely destroyed on Twitter because he got hurt. You know what I mean?
KO'd.
Like it's just and Tua's been getting and because I'm not on Twitter much, but I do have like alerts on like for fantasy Twitter because I like to have like know who's healthy, who's playing, like what are the good matchups, blah blah blah. I'm in that loop on Twitter, and I see so much shit on there that is so toxic and so dark, like. Players get literally like sent death threats and things like that because they let them down in their fantasy lineup. And it's a mental illness amongst these fantasy players. It's a dark place these people go to. I get it. Your money's on the line. I'm a bettor myself, and it sucks losing that. But these people are the ones actually out there making this happen for you and are putting their lives on the line and their health on the line. And their personal money on the line, because if they get hurt and they can lose out on a lot of money too. So this far more deeper for them than it ever will be for us on this side watching from a TV screen. It's amazing, and it's really tough for me to see that. And like, not everybody's as objective as me. There's a lot of people that are just like casuals that are just in there and don't care about anything else but their success and their money and what the players do on the field, and they're just like I said, a pawn in the chessboard here. So for that, I just want to, as a fantasy person myself and someone who is in the fantasy community and in that realm, the fantasy community in that fantasy realm really needs to take a step back and really chill out. Because I see way too much of it. I know that not everyone's like that. I'm not putting everyone in a box, but there's a pretty big box of a lot of this going on. So for that side of the fantasy community, that dark side of the fantasy community, do me a solid favor and hold this L.
You guys remember back in 2018 when the Jaguars were coming into town and there was this conversation being had by a relatively unknown player, but he was having a good season at that point. Hasn't been known since, for the Jaguars by the name of Telvin Smith. And I remember he did this press conference and he was talking about basically guaranteeing what they were going to do against the Chiefs that week going into Kansas City. I want to hear this clip real quick, and then I'll tell you guys why I'm doing this.
Cause I think it's funny. It's funny. It's funny to me. But it's a great week, I'm telling you that. Look. Listen. Ask me that after the game. Say, why were you smiling so hard? What was so funny?
Is it funny that they get so much attention?
Well, it's not. It's the fact that, again, ask me after the game. I'll get ready. I promise you. I'll answer.
Am I on the right track?
Exactly. I'll ask you. Cause it's funny.
Clown.
It's funny. As I was getting prepped for this interview and getting prepped for the questions, just the prep this week, man, it's funny. It's great, though. I'm telling you, it's great.
Telvin was feeling himself in that one because they were mad that the Chiefs were getting a lot of attention because of Patrick Mahomes' emergence, and the Jaguars were coming into that game with a really good record and playing really good football defensively. Chiefs won that game by double digits, gave up 30 points to the Chiefs. And then this season, go all the way to 2022, when you look at the Chiefs taking on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and I want you guys to hear this real quick from Shaq Barrett.
I just think, we got an opportunity to really impose our will as pass rushers, edge rushers this game, and we could really have a coming out party. I know we had 6 sacks the other game, but we could really have a coming out party as edge and as edge defenders in the position group for this game.
Yeah, and see, there's a part of the segment from Shaq Barrett where he actually laughs when they talk about the difference from the Chiefs' offensive line in 2020 Super Bowl when Shaq Barrett and that defense absolutely just destroyed that series of backup players, and if there's a difference between that offensive line and the Chiefs' offensive line now, and he laughed, and you could tell he was holding a lot back, and he was really, really holding a lot back. Shaq Barrett had 4 tackles with 0 pressures on Patrick Mahomes, and the Chiefs put up 41 points and won by double digits. For some reason, these Floridian dudes just don't want to get it, man. They want to put it out there, and they want to, Telvin Smith doing this to the reporters, and Shaq Barrett laughing on a post game. And Shaq, was, to his credit, he's never really been a guy that talks a lot and says a lot of controversial things. That's actually been Devin White and more of his style.
He got scorched too.
They got, for some reason, these guys just don't learn. And that's what's funny to me, Telvin Smith, is that you dudes down in the Florida area want to talk shit on the Chiefs and want to downplay what they do, and then they embarrass you. It's just funny to me. It's just funny to me. So, Trev, Eddie, do me a solid with me, man. And Telvin Smith, Shaq Barrett, you guys do me a solid and join with me as you hold this L, please. It's a fun show, guys. Got our guy Eddie back. We had the Eddie Hour. Feels like we're whole again. We're complete. You complete me, Eddie. You had me at Hola. I really appreciate his efforts on the show. We kind of just talk a wide range of things here on the Spoken Podcast, which I know you guys enjoy as well. But we always keep it, man, at 100 when it comes to the Chiefs, when it comes to the NFL, because we know that's why you guys are here each and every week. We want to thank Starcade Media for allowing us their platforms each and every week as we post our shows in there, as we live stream. We put our podcasts out there as well. And for anybody that has not already done it, if you guys would be so kind, go to YouTube, subscribe to our channel. We put out content each and every week, and we talk sports because that is what we do, all sports all the time. And we appreciate everyone that's already done that. It is a growing community. We have been blowing up big time on our Facebook page. Our Twitter pages have been blowing up as well. And we literally could not do it without you guys because you guys are the ones that put the numbers together for us. We're just here to talk sports and do what we do, and we hope you guys enjoy it each and every week. So for Trevor Twidwell, for Eddie Ortiz, for Clay Wendler that puts all this together, man, and makes this thing what it is. I am Lance Twidwell of the Spoken Podcast. 187, episode 187 is done, finished and finito. And so we are here 1 week's time talking about a Chiefs blowout victory over the Raiders and a big matchup against the Buffalo Bills on, I believe that's Sunday Night Football. No, it's not Sunday Night Football. That's just a regular football, regular noon game if I'm not mistaken. Either way, Chiefs are going to be ready for that one, and when we are here to talk about it. But in the meantime, until that time comes around, we out of this bitch.
See ya. Later.